Listen to my story.
It all begins here.
No, this is a one-time gig.
Alright, hi, welcome back to another episode of Super Frank, a Super Frank podcast. As always, Super Sanctus here.
Frankie here.
And today we have part 5. This one is going to be Kupka's episode. We're going to get to a lot of stuff with Kupka finally.
Getting a little bit of answers, because after this 5-year jump, there's all this like beef with Kupka. Now you kind of get that explained.
Yeah. So why don't we start off always as where did we leave off?
So we did leave off in the middle of a scene, right?
Right, yeah.
So the last was basically we just destroyed that mother crystal.
Yeah, the crystal's disappearing.
Yep.
And
Ironblood's leaving, they're running away.
Mm-hmm.
I have, you assume they're going back to their home island or something,
Yeah, I would assume. But they're basically shattered, their leader's dead, and their crystal,
and again, that's
god.
their religion, that's their god, so that's being dead is probably unfathomable, whatever that word is to them.
They're in shambles. So jumps though then to another scene, and it shows us I believe it says that this is the crystalline dominion, right? Or it's right outside of it.
Yes, and because you kind of see that crystal then in the distance, right? So I just have you see him coughing up blood, and it's I kind of just have the note of he's been sick before, that. But then now you do see is because he sealed up Ultima.
Yeah. So you see, did we say Josh? Did I say Joshua at the crystalline? No, did you say at the crystalline? If not, we see Joshua walking with that woman that he's been before, right? In the hood. She's not in the hood this time, but they're walking, which looks like with a bunch of people.
Yeah,
there's a whole crowd of people walking towards the Dominion, trying to get in, and then he starts coughing up, and they decide to take a break. Mm-hmm. But this seems more than his normal just coughing up. Because then he's coughing blood in his hand, I think.
Yeah, right? Definitely worse. And he makes a comment he for a moment felt Clive's presence. Mm-hmm. And I just have is that a coincidence in the timing? You just took down, or Clive just takes down a mother crystal. Yeah. And he's
For a moment there, I felt my brother's presence.
You did?
I fear he is in Ultima's thoughts again. But why now, after 5 years of silence?
And he's but now he feels his presence and also Clive's.
Yeah. Is it the crystal? Yeah. Or is it Clive was trying to summon Ifrit?
Right,
so
exactly.
Was that the moment he felt him, or was it crystal, or a combination of both? This starts making me wonder. It almost seemed like Ultima's getting stronger with each crystal that we destroy.
Right.
Because it was destroy, and then he's now he's immediately hurt.
I think he does say I can't contain him forever. Mm-hmm. Yep, and it starts to see it's harder for him, Which
another thing that we see then, his shirt's kind of open, and you can see his purpley dark diamond or something in his chest, embedded into it, Tony Stark style.
Yeah, right. That's right. Yeah, but
except for this looks it's
diamond and veins. Veins
coming in. It looks like it's poisoning around his chest.
Yes,
it looks bad. The woman hands him a vial. This green vial that looks
making
venom or something.
I do have also in the notes the little girl comes up, the medicine girl.
I was just gonna bring her
comes up, offers to give him medicine, and he's nah.
No, that's okay.
Save it, for somebody else.
Okay. Yeah, that's what he says.
Which is it's a little bit of. Does he know he's lost cause? So he's kind of nah, again, save it for somebody else, or is it more of I have special medicine that's not going to do anything.
Yeah, I think it's I need special meds.
Just because
Tylenol's not going to do it.
Yeah,
I need that
right.
Yeah.
But again, interesting. Just that little medicine girl. You saw Clive and Jill run into her.
To note, yeah, we saw her in Dalmacia.
Right, like right after the 5-year jump.
But yeah, to note and remember this, small detail that you might not pick up on first time through, but remember her slightly in the brain that she is now on her way to the Crystalline Dominion.
Correct, yes.
So, just to...
little note
again,
of where
she's one that's not a main part of the story, but it's just something that she now twice has popped up.
Yeah.
Just this little girl, you have no name, no backstory whatsoever, all that she's trying to sell medicine.
Yeah. Okay, so she just pops up again, yeah.
Okay, what is your point?
But then, so his, like, attendant goes to hand him, like, what seems like different medicine, special medicine, and I just kind of have, like, he, like, kind of resists her touch.
Yeah, you know? He's like, don't touch me, you don't need to dirty your hands.
That's what it feels like, I was like, right?
What a fucking weird thing to say.
Like, that's really... he does that, right? Yeah, like,
do I have to wash my hands before we start?
Yeah.
That was like, my thought was like, that's a weird... What do you mean, like, dirty your hands? Like,
but he does say her name then here, right?
Yes,
and I think we talked about this earlier. I think this is the first time you get her name.
Yes, I believe this
might have said in the lore, or it just said in the lore that's, like, not her name. Like, you know, it says like, he doesn't call her name or something. Yeah. But he calls her Yote.
Yeah, Yote with a J.
Which would be, with a J, yeah. Which is funny. Again, that'd be reading it, I'd probably say... Jody?
Yeah,
Jody? Yeah, Jody probably. Is probably how you'd read it.
Or
Yote. Yote sounds way cooler, though, yeah.
Yeah. I just laughed on this one, though, because it's like, she clearly has some sort of, like, infatuation, whether it's romantic kind of, but, like, she definitely has feelings and caring for him. And then it was just like, Joshua kind of seems like a dick to her.
Just kind of like, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, maybe it is, like, for her own benefit, but it just kind of was like, don't touch me. I was like,
oh, okay. Shit, like, yeah.
Even Cloud is a little nicer to Jesse. Like, shit.
He, like, gives her a little bit to go off of,
Yeah. But, yeah.
So I just have, make a note of where they are. Looks like they're on their way to the Crystalline Dominion.
Oh, and then this is where she asks him, she's kind of like, what are we doing here? And he says that he's looking for Dion Lesage.
Lesage, yep.
Yeah. The prince, the crown prince of Sambrec.
Who is also the dominant for Bahamut. Yes. Who we've seen battle Odin.
Which I believe we've seen in... Was he in 2 scenes? Only that 1 scene, I think.
I think that might have been
we've seen him up to this point.
Yeah. We've seen Sylvester, like the Emperor... once or twice more.
Him.
Yes.
So we've known about him. But yeah, he says that he met him when they were kids doing the treaty once, and said he seemed like he's a very reasonable man. And saying that Ultima's hand reaches everywhere.
Right, saying like his influence is like everywhere now.
Yeah.
And he's like he is like he's like a such a chivalrous person, if that's the right word, that like he will have known.
Yes.
Like he will know like something's off, and like that.
I'm sure Dion picked up on it, is what he's saying.
Right. Yeah.
So he'll help us out. We need some more help, and kind of seemed like they've been searching and they're kind of at a dead end with Ultima. But he's like, we need more help, and Ultima's spreading, and more people need to know. So that's where they're on their way to.
And then I just kind of have like he kind of then like explains like Dion, and then he kind of just like starts talking about Ultima, and I'm like,
as the mother crystals fall, the eternal flame wavers, and the azure sky begins to bruise. How lucky we were to be blessed by the crystals, and yet how spoiled. Like canaries in a gilded cage, growing fat on seed. But now, the bars are closing in, and we must take flight. Painful though it be to leave our home behind, it is what we must do to be free. Which is it that men cannot live without? A blessing that leads to damnation, or a freedom that leads to deprivation? I do not yet know the answer to that question. Do you, Clive?
I feel like at first you're just kind of like rambling, and you're kind of like, what is he talking about?
I literally wrote, he says some cryptic bullshit that I really don't know what he's getting.
Makes more sense second playthrough, knowing everything, but like
almost
still
just like
you're just
rattling
like
off a poem.
what? But then his line of basically like, what can man live without? Like a blessing that leads to damnation, or freedom leading to deprivation. And it's
you're like,
that is some deep stuff, but it's like, that is deep. That is summing up 16 like very well.
Yeah, it's another one of those themes.
So they're like blessing of the crystal, but it's eventually going to drain the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're free of that, but like leading to deprivation and chaos.
Yeah, I mean, I equate it to fossil fuels, right? So it's like, take the crystal away, it's because it's killing the planet, but that would mean we'd lose our power, we'd lose our car, our sources of cars.
Like again, like
even electricity, like using any sort of electricity is
like
killing the planet.
You kind of forget majority of people don't know how to live without magic. Again, that's electricity.
And that would be like
gas,
now it's like all of a sudden we don't have we don't have gas or electricity or anything, so then people would just be like living off the land, and so it's like, what do we, which is a very appropriate, it's very like 7 is basically the whole point
thinking
of
that in my head too.
It's very similar to that
Mako energy
concept. It's not quite as like hit you over the head with, but like that's kind of now where they're getting at, and why everyone was pissed at Clive and Jill.
Why they're outlaws.
Yeah, partly from that. But yeah, they're at that dilemma too of like most people aren't going to realize that this is really saving the planet by killing these crystals.
Oh yeah.
So
he's kind of like, I wonder.
Very important, very
Clive,
cryptic,
like,
very have to think about what he said. Very well. It's almost Shakespearean. Way of saying it, where you're like,
kind of how he talks to, and he's kind of just like, I wonder if, Clive, if you figured out the answer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that all comes back to whether it's right decision or not. It's about having the choice.
Yes,
right.
I think that's a good point too. Is what he's also getting at. Like, he's also questioning: are we doing the right thing?
Mm-hmm.
But you're having the choice to do so.
Yeah, is
that better than?
Like, what are we doing? It's like he's one.
Yeah, there's something. Shout out to Final Fantasy Weekly, who I've been listening to a lot since every F and FF. I caught up on every episode. But those guys talk a lot about themes and stuff, and they were talking about free will, and it's a very common theme throughout all of the Final Fantasies. Starting
Absolutely,
with the first one,
yeah.
Do we even have free will? That's kind of what he's talking about, and this is another one. Like, this 16 seems like it's centrals around that. Like, they didn't have free will as slaves, but now it's like, well, is free will a good thing? I'm starting to be like,
right,
they're gaining free will.
It's gonna be hard,
but is that a good thing? And this actually continues on throughout the rest of the story, and actually becomes one of the final like main points here, without spoiling anything.
Yeah,
like, this is where we're starting to get into more and more of that's our main talk of free will, and is it right or wrong? Is free will a good thing?
Yeah,
even.
Can we trust ourselves? Like,
right. Are we even doing the right thing? Because it's
are we good? Yeah.
But anyhow, I think
so then I just have one other note for that scene is they basically say, like, let's take shelter. So like, Yote mentions get back on the Dhalmekian trail and like take shelter. So that's where I'm like, oh, I thought they were like in the Dominion. But then now it does say, so just you can make a little note for future here, that that they basically make a mention of like heading back to Dhalmekia to find shelter, make it then finish so he can rest so that they can like finish the journey.
Oh, that's right.
To the Dominion.
That's right. They are, because I had forgot about later on. We won't get to that this episode, but yeah, that's right. I forgot. They show up then later.
Long story short, just make a note of where they are.
Yeah. So they started Crystalline Dominion, but then that's right. It's like you're too sick to continue this trail. We gotta go back.
Which rest. I guess to me was just deceiving, because you're like, it looks like he's right there, but again, the crystal is so huge that it probably is still a very far distance. That it's like
seeing the mountain.
Let's backtrack half a day instead of a week forward or something. Yeah. But another scene. After this scene.
Yeah, we go. Meanwhile, Meanwhile,
you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
All right, another scene.
Now we're in Randala, or Rendala of Domekia. Randala. It's not quite as...
Yeah.
But
little bit clearer than that, yeah.
Randala.
So I think a couple of these guys were in like that very beginning scene with
yeah, it's the same people.
like before Shiva and Titan fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the same.
So you might recognize
council.
Mm-hmm. You might recognize
I'm pretty
a couple
sure it's
faces.
all the same kind of guys.
And now
doing basically what we saw the Sanbreque Council doing.
Yeah.
2 episodes back.
Right.
When we were with the Sylvester, where they're just sitting around.
They're kind of the leaders.
Yeah, and they're all just bitching back and forth.
Bickering.
The same thing, that the blight is coming down and killing the crops, and they're losing this land, and they've kind of been sieged, it sounds like, by Sanbreque and Waloed. Like, this whole war is kind of like draining the rhythm, like, what do we do type thing.
So you see Kupka, and it's the first time we've seen him since the 5-year gap, and I think we were talking about this. He has got some hair now. I was just gonna say, some white hair.
Note, yeah, he definitely looks older.
Yeah, it's just enough, and it's just enough to be like, yeah, wait, that's not how he looked, right?
Right, yeah.
Because it's like, no, wait, he was for sure bald, and now he looks like he's a little bit
gray. It looks like, I think his sideburns are gray now.
Right, yeah.
So he definitely looks a little bit older. I really like that.
But Kupka's pretty funny here because he's advising them, which is
he's been their advisor.
His role, and he's basically like, you guys done effed up. Like,
yeah, really, right?
He's like, basically, like, just what are you doing? And then they're like, oh, you could help. And he's like, I would just destroy everything if Titan helped out.
Yeah, they're kind of like,
and then,
this
like,
would
Bahamut would join in.
Yeah,
like,
they're like, this would go easier if Titan would just jump in the fight. And he's like, if I did jump in the fight, Bahamut would join. And yeah, we're going to destroy, like, the whole planet. And it's like...
So then they're kind of like...
There'll be nothing left to rule over.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh, so like, what, you got it all figured out, what should we, what's your answer? And then he's like,
you,
yeah,
I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah.
So he's like,
that's basically
he calls in now somebody.
Yeah.
And I just have,
in walks
Clive's bitch of a mom.
Yeah.
The Duchess Annabella. And so first you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And then that's what the council of guys is kind of like, what is this?
Yeah, I remember when I first watched it, it didn't even like click. It was just like,
exactly.
Oh, this bitch again. And they're like, wait.
No, that's
why
literally
is she here?
Who they are at war with.
Right.
And she is like the Empress.
Yeah.
So it's like...
walking in.
Yeah, like top enemy like, walking into enemy territory.
It's like the Emperor just walked into the council, It's like...
Kupka basically just says like, this means I don't have to advise you anymore. So they're kind of like, okay, what exactly does he mean by that? And then...
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, screw you, I'm out. Because he's basically like, you guys are a lost cause.
I think he's just like, I got this.
I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care about Demeki anymore. And then it...
So kind
of fades into where the council's gone scene. And he's in, it looks like maybe a different room or in his chambers or something, talking with Annabella. And then you find out why now. He learned that Sid died and Clive is the one who's taken on Sid's name.
Yes.
And so
doesn't
if he can't
really
kill...
explain how, but like he's got like a note, a message, and it's... I get you would figure it out. Anybody who knew who Sid was before,
right,
and then saw who Sid is now.
Keep it in mind because now there still is the question of who delivered Benedicta's head to him.
Could be now the same.
We don't know
people who spilled the beans.
Right, and now where is he getting this information from?
Yep.
And now I will bring something up. It happens towards the end of this episode now, where we may get some answers for it. Kind of up to the bit of who, if maybe that's it. So, but yeah, it's kind of like, he got this information. Don't really know how, but it obviously puts him in like a rage.
And then now you like have your answer. Kind of wait, why is he after Clive? Because I don't think it's actually really explained that. You kind of just assume it's because of he's taken up Sid's name, right? But you're kind of like, well, yeah, we know Clive isn't Sid. Like, why does Kupka want Sid, who is Clive? Now you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and then
he just knew somebody like took up his name.
Basically, too, is like, if I can't kill Sid, for killing Benedicta, then I'll kill the next best thing, the person who's taking up his name.
Yep.
So that's basically why he breaks a deal with Annabella, who doesn't really say, though, like, she's helping him, but, like, you kind of gather that was the whole reason why he's like, I'm going to go with you guys, but you're going to offer me up Clive. And then she's like, she basically is just like, I don't have a son, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, she, like, never even acknowledges it.
There's no way that I have an outlaw that's in my name. And he's like, I'll take out that stain on your name or something.
Yeah.
I think, and she's just like, I don't have a son.
It still like, doesn't really ever,
so horrible.
Say like yes or anything. Yeah, even acknowledge it. But yeah, so then you basically get
to go after Rosaria or something.
Yeah, so I have it kind of you feel like it left it a little bit, but like leaves it a little bit like what exactly happened, and you start to figure it out here. Mm-hmm. But basically, he's like, you help me get your son, and I basically don't care about this war right now. Mm-hmm. And I just have, like, he kind of basically says that and then leaves and is like, he's like, you give up him and I'll leave, like, you alone, and calls her, like, your majesty, like, sarcastically, like, your majesty. Mm-hmm. But then you're kind of like, wait, is he like, you can just have Dalmec?
I think that's basically...
Or is he just saying, like, I will stop invading the Dominion? You know, and like kind of then his majesty is just like, oh, you're so important, you know, like, get the fuck out of here.
I think he's going with like,
or is he so
giving her access now to Dalmecia so that they can attack from the another front or something to Woolloo?
He does not care about anything.
Yeah, he doesn't care about this war
except exactly, or Dalmec even now.
This is all about getting revenge for Benedicta.
So I was kind of wondering that too. Like, is that him giving up Dalmec, or him just being like, we'll stop fighting, you know, you'll be fine.
So then he leaves, and now Annabella then continues talking, which we didn't mention, but she came in with a younger kid.
That's right.
Walked in with, who the hell is this guy? But he kind of looks like Dion a little bit. He has the same lighter blonde hair. Wearing a similar like white outfit, I think, that Dion would be wearing, nice royalty. But he's very weird, and if you've watched Game of Thrones, you would know when I mentioned Robin. I believe his name was Prince Robin of...
Oh, gosh, I can't either.
The Vale.
The Vale.
Yeah, the Prince of the Vale. Where he's literally just like...
Attached by the boob.
Yeah,
like, right?
Yeah, he's like 8 years old or something.
48 months. That's 4.
Yeah.
How old is he?
He's like 12 or something. Like,
how old is he? 112 months. What do you mean? Like, 12? Like, yeah.
But this kid seems like he hasn't said a word, and he's been like attached to her hip.
Yeah.
But he seems like he'd be 10 or 12, which would make sense because it's been 18 years. So he could be within that range.
And she kind of goes on to have a evil villain monologue.
Yes.
And you kind of now learn...
Now she's sitting and he's like on her lap.
Yes. Yeah.
Playing with a little...
Kupka left. Yeah, she kind of has her thinking out loud villain monologue. And yeah, the kid is like sitting in her lap, kind of like head in her lap, playing with like a little wooden doll. And she's kind of doing her thing, and basically is saying like...
Soon enough, you shall be the crown prince of Sambrec. And when your father goes to meet great Griga, you shall be emperor of all you survey.
Yeah.
And kind of like hints at like,
she's got a plan to kill
and when the emperor is gone, you'll take over, and you're like,
kind of was like
so obviously gonna kill him.
Yeah, it basically was like she's got a plot to take him out somehow. Like, this war is gonna take him out or something, and then you'll take over.
Yeah.
Which I was like, that doesn't make sense though. Like, Dion's still the firstborn. Wouldn't Dion then take over as emperor? Unless he is something, again, Game of Thrones, where is he something like Jaime Lannister, where he, becoming a dragoon, he gave up his right to become king?
You know, I think they actually do explain that, and it is, I think, a little bit more subtle.
Because I
don't even think
Sylvester was
that
saying,
didn't even like click.
Before,
but you're totally right. Yeah.
Before though the time jump, we saw Sylvester talking about Dion and like didn't really want him. They were like, you don't want your line to die or whatever, and he was just kind of like, no, we need his power though, as Bahamut. Yeah. So it was kind of like okay, yeah, wouldn't he take over? And now when there's a new son, why would he have priority over it? And that's where I didn't quite get. I'm like, your plan's a little flawed. Unless you're planning on killing both of them, which she very well.
That I was just gonna say. That's probably what it is.
And
have them.
We actually will learn later.
Conquer everything.
I think they do explain a little bit later. I don't know if we'll get to it in this episode.
But I just said the last thing. Then, as it's kind of like fading away, it kind of goes on to the kid, and his like doll's eyes glow blue.
Yeah.
Or like a tear or something.
Like last night, I was like, wait, what the hell is that glow?
It's real subtle.
I thought it was like a purpley light. Like it was like purple and then went to like a white light.
There's just something weird, right?
Yeah.
So I don't exactly know. You just make a little note of that.
Yeah. And weird. He hasn't said a word. Yeah. It's something very odd with this kid.
Now we're finally back at the hideaway, right? The hideout?
Yes.
And
so we're back at the hideaway.
Back with Clive. And I just kind of have the classic, just like, how did they get away again? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it was kind of crumbling. It wasn't as bad and as dire as the last one. It was like, we got to get out of here.
But it just, I feel like it almost hinted at, like, this volcano is going to erupt almost. And then it was just kind of like, oh, okay, I guess they just got back to their little dinghy.
Maybe he does just teleport fast travel.
Like, I think he did. I think I have a note in here. There was a joke somewhere in the game. If you talk,
it was the last episode we were talking
about. Right? Yeah, the boat guy makes like, I never see you
on the boat, and we're like, maybe he does fast travel. That's how he's been getting out of there.
Phoenix and Garuda have wings.
It doesn't really show it ever, but like, kind of makes sense. But yeah, so we're back at Hideaway, and Jill, if you remember, this took a huge toll on her body, so she immediately goes to Tarja, which I think it just shows us like that's where we are. Tarja's comes out and talks to Clive and says that like the curse is spreading. I think she says the curse is spread.
Yeah, like she needs to rest. Yeah, and you're like, okay, makes sense. Right. She was using her powers a lot.
Clive opens the door to like the infirmary, and you see a back shot of Jill sitting on the bed with her shirt off.
And you're like peeking. You're
what? You gotta. And then she puts it on, and you're like, oh. But yeah, then she was like, the curse is spread.
If it hurts, you can tell me, I'll understand.
I can bear it.
But you shouldn't have to. Not anymore.
This isn't just your struggle, Clive. It's ours. And when we see how hard you fight, it inspires us to do the same. Or would you rather we left you to save the world all on your own?
No. That's not... Ignore me.
And then you're like, are we getting it? And they lean in. Close? You lean in. And then it's like, Gav, good to see you.
Clive, where are you? In here.
What's wrong?
Rosaria's under attack.
What?
Gav comes in with the cock block.
Yeah, just straight cock blocks it. Everybody, you can just hear the honest, yeah,
no. Yeah. And then he comes in like real urgent, like though.
Yes. Yeah, and it's like, Clive, you need to come quick.
Mm-hmm. Pull your pants up.
Pull your pants up.
And he's like out of breath, but he explains Rosaria is under attack.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just like, real quick. I mean, I think you get the option to like run around, but again, it literally just tells you to go check on Jill. So you're probably just gonna go do that real quick. But then so then also now Rosaria is under attack, and then kind of fades into another scene, and we have those three, Jill, Gav, Clive, talking, and Gav is explaining it's not just Dalmekia attacking, like it's Kupka's private men.
Yeah.
So it's not like part of the war. that's going on right now in the Dominion, like, this is personal.
Mm-hmm. And Kupka took his, like, right hand men type, his special, yeah.
Yep.
Seems that way. Reckon old Hugo has finally worked out who Sid really is.
Then this is just another trap.
It's a trap, all right. The daddy of all fucking traps.
And then, Jill's like, it's a trap, and Gav says, the daddy of all fucking traps. Like,
Gav has some fantastic lines
Gav
here,
is hilarious,
and starts reeling in the F-bombs, like, left and right.
They're like, wait, we are hard, right? Like, we're rated M for mature? Like, okay.
Like, we're rated M,
we can
right?
get their F-bomb
I don't think we've got enough F-bombs in.
Like,
let's give Gav a few. And then he turns it up where he hits to the, like, Barrett fused with Sid moments of the...
From 7, of just like...
Where you hit the different, what you call them, the @ or whatever symbols.
Yeah, where they're cursing.
They're dropping F-bombs. Oh, fucking shit,
There's just multiple innocents,
But yeah, I think that's basically
Clive is just...
it.
Though then, I'm going in, like, Hugo Kupka's... How do you say? Kupka must die. Like, he's got to go. Like, he's like... He kind of explains, like...
Keep hitting the tape.
I think he even figures out he does not care about, like, the war. He knows, like, he doesn't care about the realm. Like, he has dragged countless people into this stupid, like, argument for whatever reason. Like, he's got to go.
And I don't think at this point, now, as soon as you said that, I don't think Clive knows why Kupka's doing this.
That he kind of, like, mentions that, right? So now you're kind of like, oh.
They just think Kupka's been after him this whole time, and they don't know why.
Yeah, maybe because he's an outlaw or something.
Some sort of vendetta. I don't think he realizes that we know as the player why Kupka's reasoning with Benedicta, but I don't think Clive has a reason for this point. So he's just been killing people and dragging them through the mud.
So he's like, we're going in. We're ending this.
So I think this is where you get control.
Jill goes, I'm coming with, and you're like, weren't you just told to rest?
Yeah. I think Clive tries to tell her, and it was like, no. Oh, yeah, he does, because I was like, this is kind of a Cecil moment. Or Cecil? Yeah. From, like, 4, at the end when they're on the moon, and then him and Edge are like, to Rosa and Rydia, and they're like, no, you're not coming with. Like, this is dangerous. You guys have to stay here. And they're like, bullshit. And then just, like, hop on the ship and stow away. This was kind of one of those moments. Clive's like, no, Jill, you have to rest. And she's like, no, fuck that. I'm going.
Yeah, like,
this is our home.
I'm coming with.
This is our home, and this is Kupka. This is my fight, too.
Yeah,
I'm coming with. And he was like,
all right.
I'm stopping you. So, I think then at this point, you get to walk around. You're supposed to go talk to Vivian, I believe.
I mean, Otto first, and then he just basically tells you to go talk to Vivian.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just kind of like...
this would be the point to do any side quests you haven't done yet.
I was going to say, do your dailies.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
A good reference of... Now you start to... Every time you come back to, like, the hideaway, especially after, like, a big story dump, you have... Like, you restock,
a couple more,
you can talk to Harpocrates and Vivian.
Probably
give you a little
weapon.
Recap. Yep. Forge a new weapon or gear. Do your dailies. There's a couple things you just can do. Side quests. And then now you have the hunt board.
Yeah, and then the hunts.
So you get a couple
there's always
couple new hunts you can go track down.
You probably got like 4 or 5.
Get the renown. So there's a couple couple side things.
So really, story-wise, you just hop right into this. It's like one crazy scene, and then bam, we're right into Kupka. But gameplay-wise, if you want, you could extend
kill a little
couple
bit here.
hours,
Yes,
few hours. I think this was like a couple nights in between.
I think
playing.
I just have 4 hunts. I have the Minotaur guy. He pops up.
That was the guy that I couldn't find forever.
That is the guy I could not find. I tried 4 separate times to find this guy and could not find him, and finally found him.
I think you had to do something first, right?
When it came out originally, before an update, they definitely changed it. It said west of Renanen's Ride, and so you go to Renanen's Ride and the map where it says, and go in that area, and he's just not there. There's just other Minotaurs. So you're like, what the heck? Now they changed it, and it says Green Sheaves, which is to the west.
Oh, is that what it was?
So now you know in that area to go look, and you found him in that area. But it was like, I was like, I'm going
to
look.
This was the one you couldn't find. Okay. Yeah,
so
yeah. I found him, and then I couldn't remember how I found him.
You're like, I think I found him over here, and I'm like, no, that's where I'm looking.
I was like, dude, I don't remember. I just accidentally
they did
into
update it. He is easier to find. But if you're looking, he's like just basically north of Martha's Rest. And like a little bit to the west then. Mm-hmm. I don't know how I missed him then, because that was another. The second I looked everywhere in that area, I looked everywhere in this area. Somehow missed him like 4 times.
I wonder if it was just bugging out.
I thought so, because it was weird.
There's some moments where things like that happen, which
might change or something.
Maybe it was,
but anyways, yep, he was a tough fight. That was a good one. Hunts though, you can just go all out, because you can just immediately go to the shop and restock on like your buffs. So it's like. Yeah.
Gil never really seems to be much of an issue.
Especially if you're doing just like, just go ahead, use all your strength and D potions.
And you're going to get a lot of Gil back from these anyways.
So it's kind of like go ham. And then the only other side quest I really just have like note of, again, if it's like the plus sign, it unlocks something. So you have a quest way in the gardens, and nothing too crazy, but it gives you your potions do more. So potions do a little bit more, high potions do a little bit more, and then your other buffs last a little bit longer.
Oh, so I forgot. Yeah.
That one is worth going and doing.
Oh, so it's not more, it just gives you better potions.
Yes.
Okay. Yep. Potions get stronger. That's right. I couldn't remember exactly, but I knew it was somewhere. But yeah, so otherwise,
so then it just has Vivian, when you go talk to her, she just gives you an explanation and background on Kupka and like Dalmek and kind of his position.
Basically now explains a little bit more, handhelding explains that conversation that was going on.
Yes, between
them, where we were like, what were they talking about, where they're going? That was like, this is what has happened now, and like she basically gave Kupka then access to get to Rosaria from the river, I think is what it was saying.
Yeah, basically
like
saying,
that, right? Like, and then Sanbreque moved in to Dhalmekia or something.
So if you actually think about it, yes. So Dalmek has been attacking Sanbreque in the Dominion. It's a little confusing here, but now they're attacking them in Rosaria, but it's still Sanbreque. So it's technically like, they're attacking them on a different front now. And if you remember, they mentioned before you went to Drake's Breath that Kupka's men and his guard stayed behind to guard that crystal. Everybody else is attacking the Dominion. So this makes sense now why he just moves a little bit like north to attack Rosaria. But then that's where like, we know that that's BS. That's not about the war. It's all about Clive.
Yeah. So
and she kind of explains even then Rosaria was even less defended because people retreated. Sanbreque, because the Ironblood's mother crystal. Now Drake's Breath is gone. Ironblood fled. So now they don't have to worry about them. So now Rosaria is even like more open. And I think that might even been Annabella too. She might have been like, oh yeah, that's, pull them away. That was part of her deal with Kupka to leave Rosaria exposed.
Like, you can go ahead and take Rosaria. It's basically like what they're, and then if you give me access to Dhalmekia.
Because now
it's kind of like the trade.
So you piece together that Annabella basically gave up Rosaria because she knows that would draw out Clive.
Yeah.
And then Kupka can get it. So you're like, that was her home too.
Yeah.
And just gives up all that and
the one thing is like, Vivian's kind of like, you can't just go up through the river like you just did to Iron Isles and Port Isolde. Like, he's gonna see that coming a mile away type thing. Clive goes, we'll take him from the north then. We'll go up through Stillwind and we'll come up to the north. And this is the part.
He does say through like Phoenix Gate, right? Like,
yeah, we'll go up kind of through Phoenix Gate and then come up through the north and sneak in from there. And then it was like, okay, good plan. And then you're there.
It basically, like, I think after the conversation, it takes you to the map.
Did you hear a knock?
Yeah, I heard a knock.
Hold on, I'm gonna take a pause here. Okay, that was weird. I don't know if we're gonna throw this in there. If I can catch those knocks on there.
We both did hear a knock. Yeah, it sounded like a knock, right?
Nobody was at the doors. It was weird. Anyhow,
welcome back.
Anyhow,
quick break.
My house is haunted. And
Ghost had an opinion about the part.
Yeah. He was knocking on the north. Clive was talking about there. So, anyhow, Clive is saying the plan is to go through like Phoenix Gate from the north, and then it just immediately is like, and boom.
It does take you to the map. Like you can go back to the hideout.
Oh,
but it does like take you to the map, and
that's right. Yeah, and then as soon as you go there, you just go right to Rosaria, which I thought was funny because it was like, this was a moment where I'm like, why make a plan? Why talk about a plan to go from the north if we're not going to then like add a new place?
Do that.
Or yes. Like, why wouldn't we like redo now a stage of where we fought the goblins in the very first place?
Stillwind Marsh, I think. Yes. Yeah. So that's what I thought they were going for.
We could have gone into the Stillwind.
Like you could jump to Phoenix Gate because we've been there, so we could like jump to Phoenix Gate and then have to go through the marshes, which is what we did in the very beginning of the game to get
because
to
you
Phoenix
don't
Gate.
have a spot from Phoenix Gate necessarily straight to Rosaria.
Yeah.
I don't think, or no, I guess we kind of do. I guess the world map is there, but like I feel like there should have been another place, and it would have kind of made sense to have like one more in between this and fighting Kupka. Would have been fun. That would have been fine because this was like big story dump, and if you skip all the side stuff, big story dump.
Yes,
again. Like,
didn't originally feel like it because we
moment.
do a lot of side stuff, but it's like if you don't do side stuff, it is like boom, boom.
Yeah, and you could have easily just done a kind of shorter
I
place,
bet
like,
I would love to ask the team the question of I can almost guarantee there probably was an area or something, and it just time wise probably got cut out. They're like,
I feel like they did a lot of that. Now jumping a little bit in subject, but I feel like that happened a lot with this one, where I think they were like, we can't make the same mistake with 15 and take forever to get out. So let's trim down this game in certain spots. Like, what is the absolute essential we need for this game
to be good? Need this
and
little area here?
There's enough side stuff already in this point. Yeah, maybe we can just jump ahead. There's no point in making you walk through that whole area again. But anyway, another one of those. I'm like, did it make the game worse that it's not there? No. Would it have been? I feel like a slight missed opportunity, maybe.
But then it's like now having completed the game, you're like, there would be too much then. It's like fine. I would,
just maybe it could have been, but so then we're in Rosaria.
I do have Vivian makes a comment of that the Guardians of the Flame have evacuated people in Rosaria, so we know Wade has he's in that area, so he has actually helped evacuate some people. Makes you feel like a little bit better. You're like, oh, okay, you
get there and it's
many people are dying.
You get there,
but
actually, no, people are getting slaughtered.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
Vivian makes a comment about Gav. She's like, "Oh, Gav is coming with, basically."
Oh. Will you be going too?
Aye. I've been waiting a long time to give that fucker a taste of his own medicine. I would have missed this for the world.
Because he's like, oh, I'm not missing to give this fucker
That's right.
1, 2.
That's right. Gav.
So you're actually like, oh, is Gav coming with?
Us. Yeah. But he's not even.
But then you check your party.
Yeah, he's not even listed
and
as
he's not
a guest.
even like a guest, like how Sir Wade just was.
Yeah, he's not even listed as that at all.
So you're like, that's.
He's coming with us, but yeah.
So I have again good time to finish up anything you didn't do. Get a chance to maybe before side quest, hunt, recap with Hippocrates or Vivian, yada yada. And then then you
in Rosaria.
Can head to you're in Rosaria, yep.
And I think it just opens up
with it just being firebombed by catapults.
Yeah.
So you see just big old stretch of castle, and then they're just bombarding it, just wrecking down buildings.
Yeah, and Kupka's show him. I think it just shows basically that he destroyed the whole thing.
Yeah,
it was pretty much, and you see some guards running and getting stabbed to the ground, I believe.
Right. Yeah. You see people just getting
streets, just
slaughtered
basically by the Dalmekian.
And then it does basically then show the three kind of watching over a group of soldiers. They kind of snuck in. They're hiding out in a destroyed wreck of a building. Gav pretty much just goes his own way. He's like, I'm gonna go try to save a couple other people.
Yeah.
You know, anybody hiding out here,
Of course. Yeah.
You guys make your way to him, to Kupka. And they're like, oh, okay, I guess that's why he's not in the party.
Yeah, of course. Gav is just
he's with you, but not
thing,
with you, right? Yeah, you're like, all right. The stage begins. You get to control Clive again. And kind of, you know, just slowly make your way through. And I just have a note of, like, this is the first time that they've been back in 18 years.
Yeah. And this is the first time, we get to see Rosaria again and actually walk through, which we did walk through this place.
A little bit, right?
The
now you
first
go
place that you walked through
in
the game. And, you know, with young Clive. And so now we're going through it again, but it is rubble and destroyed, like, everywhere.
Yep.
Right. So
you see.
like, oh, wow.
So now it's a little odd because you see Dalmekian soldiers killing Sanbrek. And it's just like, but they're literally like, oh, we surrender, and they're just like, right in the face.
I didn't even catch.
So you're like, oh, you feel bad for them because you just one side just slaughtering another side, but then you're like, wait, Sanbrek, those are the guys that slaughtered Rosaria. That's why they have it.
Yeah.
It's like, if you remember Phoenix Gate,
that's true.
You're kind of like, oh my gosh, they're getting slaughtered. Okay. You know, whatever. But it's, I don't know,
that's true,
little note of that.
I didn't even catch that it was the Sanbrek soldiers. But yeah, so there's not much, I think, talking really going on at this part, right?
Right, Clive is just kind of like, oh, like, yeah. I thought he was ready
home.
for it and realizing his home's being destroyed. And I'm like, at first you're kind of like, again, it's Sanbrek. And you're like, oh, no, but you know there's Rosarian people.
Yeah.
Even though they mentioned Wade got some people out, maybe it's like, it's still his kingdom, basically, you know?
Yeah. So...
did you make your way through? You fight a couple Dalmekian guys?
And you make your way up then to the courtyard, eventually. Which, if you remember, again, when you were young Clive, that's where you
might look a little familiar
with. Yeah, when it was like, go talk to your dad in the throne room. Like, this was the area. It had the, like, garden, big old circle area with gardens around it and everything. But when you first walk in there...
you do a little fight, right? And then you do...
Yes. Yeah, you fight a bunch of guys. Is this where...
you fight the kitty?
Yeah, I have first boss is the Curl.
They have a curl.
Yeah, the Curl.
The Curl, which is another one we
would never have pronounced that right.
Called it that.
We would have said the Coral.
And I've called it Coral for 25 years that I've been playing these games. Like,
Curl.
Never would have...
I don't need
Curl.
How you get it from the spelling. Whatever.
But Jill says it, It's like, they've got a curl. And we were like, huh?
Curly what? Like,
curl,
okay.
I got a curl in that. And then Mr. Kitty comes out. And you're like, oh.
Like, okay.
This bastard.
So, he fights pretty much the same as, like, the other kitty you fight. But he's just got more range with his, like...
I don't think... Did the other one have the big, like, tentacle things? Like, this one now has that and, like, shoots, like, lightning at you. But it isn't quite the same as most of these guys that we've played in previous Final Fantasies that has the blaster ability that
like
just
the one hit.
You.
Yes. I was waiting for that. It doesn't have that. Or, like, turning to stone or something.
Yeah, but he hasn't... Yeah, there is no turning to stone. There's no blaster ability. So it is a little bit disappointing. But they are... Yeah, he has a bunch of, like, electric type moves, even though there's no elements. And again, this
like not too difficult. I would recommend saving something in your buffs for the next boss here.
This but definitely not too much.
You should whittle him down pretty quickly.
Yeah. Actually, I think you fight a couple of the mini bosses before those couple of weird ninja flippity dippity guys.
Yep. Yeah. Nothing like too hard, but you know you can use
just enough that
use a couple potions, but like I'd save your buffs.
Yeah. You definitely though. Have to somewhat pay attention.
Short area, but like a couple of fights, right?
I think you could use a potion or two. I think you get replenished after
definitely,
these,
yeah.
But yeah, you definitely don't want to go absolutely crazy on this. There's a long stretch of battles here, and then into something you know it's coming.
Right after the battle, though.
Yes.
So right after you put down the kitty, it just real quick. Clive walks up to it, and then you hear Jill scream out. And you turn around and Kupka already has her.
Yeah.
And I literally remember just being like, what?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah. And it's like, where did he come from?
sense. That's the whole plan. You're distracted with the curl. And he just waits and sneaks up, captures Jill.
And he puts these cuffs on her.
Well, at first he grabs her by like the she like tries to transform into Shiva. She tries like Prime, and he like grabs her by the neck. And at this point, you're like, oh my god, are they gonna kill Jill?
Oh, that's right.
And you're like, I just started to like her. You just finished Jill's episode.
I was like, I just said it.
Her season. You just finished Jill's season, you know, right? If it's like a TV series, and like you're just gonna kill her off. Like the next season.
They just did that with Benedicta. As soon as I was like, I like this chick.
Yeah.
Her character is great.
Like, oh no.
And I was like, oh no, they better not kill off Jill. This better not be 7 all over again.
Right? Like you're like, oh my god. So then
one time that was enough.
He's like,
that was enough.
Yeah. He's like not quite yet. Like, you know, puts the cuffs. Yeah, that we saw before. I think somewhere. Forget where. Puts on like Jill, and then makes Clive put like a pair on. And you kind of see like it hurts when they put it on.
Yeah.
And if you read in the lore, it talks about how it just messes up their energy, blanking out, like whatever.
It seals their powers.
Yeah. So it just seems like it's harmful. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they can't like use magic or Prime or anything.
But this makes Clive give up.
Yes.
Clive throws the sword down.
That's right. Yeah. That's
kind of like he's like, fuck.
You're right, like he's trying to do something, but he's like I will kill Jill, and he's like, all right, so he gives up.
It's like even if he could go Ifrit, by the time he went Ifrit and tried to attack Kupka to just snap her neck like immediately.
Yep, and you're like, oh god.
We find out is that strong. Not even semi-prime.
So you do see Torgal run away.
Mm-hmm.
So you make a little note of that, and then it goes kind of pans out, and you see Gav is watching.
Yes.
And it's just like
from across courtyard, and it's like fuck.
You're still like fuck. Like okay, like Gav sees you, whatever, but you're like, oh no.
That's just great. That is. I suppose it's up to me then.
And I just kind of have the classic like, not quite sure why you didn't just kill him right away, Kupka wise.
Yeah, I was like, just thinking that as we were,
right then and there. You found him, you had him. He's kind of like, haha, like lock you away. Like the fun goes late, and you're like,
I've thought about this at times, and I'm like, you know what? Sometimes the villains are actually more merciful than the heroes, because there are moments where like the heroes never some stories they're like never given the second. It's like the moment they could kill a villain, they kill a villain.
Yeah,
right. But the villains are always like toying with them at first, right? They're always like, they don't kill him immediately. Like Kupka could have just came up behind, choked her, and snapped her neck.
Yeah,
right in front of Clive.
And then like,
but was like, no, not yet. And it was like I don't know that we would have done the same. Like Clive probably would have just killed the shit out of somebody like Kupka.
Right, exactly.
So had the second there, he would have just killed Kupka. Like, so I just thought it was funny.
Something Clive wants to make him suffer type thing. I guess doesn't kill him right away. Yeah,
which I don't get. Oh yeah, this is why, because he wants to put on then he says he's going to put on an execution style and make Clive watch the execution.
Yeah,
but again, it's like, why don't you just do that right there?
Like exactly. Yeah. So then it shows basically like two guys. He's like, lock them up basically. Mm-hmm. So it looks like you're going to the cells, and basically where Clive is being held. Gav quickly springs in and saves the day.
Yeah, this part I totally forgot about until just playing the stream.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Again, just
it's a cut.
Yeah.
But like, holy shit, he just
shows the whole like throat getting slit from behind. Yeah.
This guy's throat stabs the guy in the chest, and the other.
So you're like, all right, Gav saves the day real quick. You're like,
and I was like,
Gav's
again,
the man.
Another moment of like. But I was just talking about the hero's just not even a second chance. Didn't knock him out or anything.
You're done.
Gav is like, you're fucked. Yeah, get fucked.
So then he quickly undoes the cuffs to Clive, and then he's like, she's in the courtyard. You're gonna go save Jill. And that's when you're like, oh my god, don't have her die.
Yeah,
you're sitting there just like, please don't kill off Jill. Please don't kill. Like, no, don't kill off her now.
It's showing the like executioner with a big giant blade like about to.
It literally shows her head. Yeah, then it goes to Jill's head is literally on the chopping block. Mm-hmm. It's like you're trying to get to the courtyard, and you literally see her head on the chopping block and a giant dude like lifting an axe.
Like moments from it happening.
You see Clive and Gav are kind of like watching, waiting for like a moment to jump in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you see Torgal.
One of the coolest scenes.
Just like all this energy and just like zaps everybody in the area.
We say this every episode. And I think it's just a testament to how awesome this game is. But like just literally this scene is another just like jaw dropping. I had not
just about expecting Jill to die. And then Torgal and then transforms into this badass,
the coolest looking wolf,
glowing blue wolf with like energy tail coming out like
almost like wings too.
Yeah, like a jet almost
energy wing almost things. Glowing eyes now.
Like Digimon vibes, right?
Yeah, now you say that. Yeah, it kind of was like a Digimon, like he just digivolved. Yeah,
and he took out like everybody like in the area. Clive and Gav are both like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, they're like. Yeah, I think he lands next to Gav, and Gav is like, when the fuck could you do that?
Yeah, so you're like, this is freaking awesome, but you're like, what?
What? Yeah.
All right, I'll roll with it.
Yeah, after a moment of, like, this is so cool, it's a moment of, what the fuck just happened?
what just happened?
And then it's like, you don't have time to think about it, though.
Because you rescue Jill, so you're like, all right, yes. Yeah. And then you do a pretty good, like, call like a horde fight, where it's just like an onslaught of guys. Like
they just keep coming and fight a lot of them. Basically to just give you this like, okay, Torgal has a new thing, but it doesn't explain any of this.
Doesn't give you a little help
hop
menu.
Into it. If you go into your menus, you will notice
you do see something.
Torgal has new abilities.
Yeah.
Or just by watching him fight and doing his his abilities don't change names, which is kind of odd. Like I kind of liked it to be like a separate menu that you would open up now.
Mm-hmm.
Like could have held a button and hit like left, but anyway, so like his sick and his ravage now will do different moves, and his heal also is a different heal.
Right? Yeah, so, when he's like transformed. Yeah, I think he's got like even still like another move when he's just kind of like attacking. He does. So if you watch him and use him, he kind of I'm assuming does more.
I think it depends on what type of combo and the timing of the combo that you throw him in there. Of what ability he uses, but he has some that like are almost like grenade bomb, energy bombs he lays out. There's one that's like a big explosion.
I wish I had like more control of it because there was a move or two. If you like see him do it, you're like do that one. Yeah, like, that could be helpful.
I do know he does quite a lot though because and I was still in the easy mode, mind you. Yeah. But I literally just killed an entire guy with Torgal by just pressing like sick and ravage with it.
Okay, yeah.
And so like he took the guy out pretty much by himself after like 3 or 4 moves.
And so now going forward, you have this transformation with him, and I do wish it was like a little bit more. You had control of it again, like you could tell him the abilities to use a bit more,
and it never explains any of this. I think if you go to the lore. But, like, it doesn't really tell you. You just have to figure out.
It does get filled in a little bit here, but, like, I don't know how he goes into his limit break.
I think, it's just, like,
when
random.
You go into your limit break? Is there some hidden... His limit break fills up that you don't know about? You know what I mean? I wish it was a bit more, like, you could tell him to go into his limit break.
I think it's, like,
when to go into your limit break. You will notice all of a sudden, like, he'll be in it, when you're in, like, a fight.
There's a hidden, like... happiness meter with him or something so that you can get it up by like feeding him and like him like taking out guys. I want to say that's what it is, and then he has a chance. The higher it is, the higher chance he has of just going into it. But I swear though, it is kind of a bummer because I swear it only happened like 2-3 times then the rest of the game for me. Like it didn't happen often.
I don't think you notice it as much. I think it happens more often, and you just don't notice it because you're not focusing. Yeah, like he's flying around, and you're doing your combos. You don't really see like
unfortunately, it doesn't seem like it's very often. Which Still cool.
Still awesome.
Though.
Still awesome. Yeah. You're still like okay, cool.
Wolf I've ever seen.
But might cover some more of that later. So now again, you're fighting a bunch of guys. A couple mini bosses then pop out, and they can do a bit of damage. They were doing like their poison mist thing, and you kind of get
that's when you fight these guys,
and then you get like stunned, and then they kind of can hit you again. So like they can
do
whittle you down.
Quick.
So definitely you might have to use a potion or two. But again, I'd still try to save your buffs for the next fight. Oh, and I also have Gav as actually fighting with you.
Yes.
This is the first fight
with
now.
Torgal, but Gav is fighting alongside you.
Yes. So I know, like, I was watching your stream the other day, and like if you kind of watch him, he was attacking, he was like throwing in like a couple of kicks or like whatever. Yeah. So again, like I don't know if you could tell him to do something. Control him a little bit, make the fight a little bit.
It's better than
different.
Nothing.
Yes.
I will say it's better than nothing, but it is like, I don't know, maybe down the road they pull like a 15 and finally in 2 years down the road they actually come out with a patch and you can actually have them as a stat or something as party member and tell them to do an ability or even just see their abilities. Like, I just want to see them.
I know,
I
right?
want to know what they're doing or like be able to tell their damage. Or, what if they gave you like a damage meter?
See,
like I think a DPS meter of
I've
back
been
in WoW days,
thinking about this since 7 Remake, that I think that needs to happen in games now, is this fast pace, you don't know how much damage you're doing.
Yeah.
So like
we need a DPS meter, like DPS meter mods and WoW raids.
Yeah, so it would tell you like that would
be so
cool. Let's say like your characters, you would see like you could go just from the battle, or then you could like change it so it's like over the past 10 battles. So you can start to see who's doing the most damage. Then you could break down what move was doing the most damage. So then you can start to see, oh, I use this move 100 times, and it's only my third most damage, where this move, I don't even use much, but it's doing my most damage. You can start to see who is doing more. It's so hard to keep track now. It's so fast-paced. Now
That's
you could see 16's like version of that would be like, oh, my Phoenix abilities are doing way more than Ramu's or something. That would be
amazing.
And I feel like you could have it more hidden. Like you could just go to your menu, go to your system, and it would be like last battle, these are your stats.
Yeah.
Or over 10 battles. Then you could reset it if you want. Obviously, when you log in and out, it resets it.
It would just
I hope to start to see Rebirth now. I hope to see. I don't think I've seen anything about, but like, I don't know if that would be too hard to do. Just some sort of. It doesn't have to be like in the battle.
It can't be that hard because WoW has had mods of this for 20 years or whatever, however long it's been. Like I remember having that back in the day.
You could see
where
now
it was always so you could see who was doing the most DPS.
Jill or Torgal was. Oh my gosh, she actually did this chunk of damage.
Yeah.
Like,
and in League even has it. Where like you die and it shows you how much damage everybody did to you and
never
what
used it in 14. I remember her cousin, shout out Jared. I think he kind of explained they're a little bit weird with mods.
Oh yeah. You gotta be
which does make sense because they don't want you to be basically in the context of like using like a DPS meter. It was like then you could just be like, hey, you were last and sucked.
Yeah,
that's
true.
So they were just like, which would exactly would happen. That's almost the point. That's almost the point of it is like you want to see. Oh, if I'm last, then I suck. I'm gonna try to get better. But then that's where they're just like, doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Who So that's where.
But again, anyhow,
we digress.
Yeah.
But again, to sum it up, yes, this would be nice because now then you could see. Oh wow, Torgal's doing more than Jill.
Yeah.
Or
like
Gavin's doing a chunk of damage. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Be kind of cool. Again, slight missed opportunity. Does it ruin the whole game? Not necessarily. No. Does it need it for the game? Not really. But could it benefit? Could it make it go from a 9.5 to a 10? Maybe.
Agreed.
These couple things. None of them was. But
agreed.
Anyhow,
so after you wrap up that scrap,
it's over.
For now. But I bet that wasn't the last of them. And they won't stop hunting us until Kupka's dead. So you get in there and finish the job, eh?
Go on. If they come again, we'll hold them back.
All right. But be careful.
And then on to, again, another amazing scene.
So,
here.
Yep, so basically, real quick, you go forward, and yes, you confront Kupka finally, and...
Kupka.
Dude, this scene...
One, and we say it every single time, one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah, watching again was like, God damn.
The voice
so
acting between Kupka, I am blanking on the voice actor for Kupka.
Yeah,
and
shit.
then,
I forgot to do our research again and remember everybody's name because, again, I apologize. I only know Ben
voice
Starr.
acting. I apologize because
I don't know. I can only remember him.
Hugo Kupka does that voice actor does a phenomenal job here, and then Ben Starr with Clive is just
back and forth. Here.
Amazing lines.
Yeah.
But so you walk in, and Kupka is basically making fun of Rosaria.
A realm without a ruler, an army, even a people, a veritable kingdom of dust. Truly, I see no throne to defend. No!
Punches the shit out of the chair.
A stone throne.
Yeah.
So not like Game of Thrones with like the swords, but like picture
just solid
block stone. And this Kupka, this ginormous of a man, just punches it, and it just explodes.
It slides back into the wall and just like explodes basically.
And you're like, oh, okay, he's the Hulk.
Yeah.
Without
this was the one
any
part
like
though,
magic or anything.
This was the one part I wasn't sure that I liked with the voice acting. I'm getting real critical on Ben here.
Okay.
This part though, when he hit it, he just is kind of like no, and does like a little
Yeah.
I would have thought he would yell out more.
Be a little bit more
like
offended,
been like, you bastard, like yelled at him.
A little
but
bit,
it was just like shit, and I'm like,
It seems like like if you were gonna get mad, you'd be madder about it. Because I remember I was almost
wonder
thinking
if it was
he's
trying not to.
I just remember it as being and I just remember kind of being like so.
I wonder if that's what it is. Just like,
because he literally has.
I don't care for that.
He's
throne.
literally said that. Yes, he's like,
no.
I'm not taking over. Like, I'm not the one to run the country. So like, even if blah 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 had happened, like, I'm not doing it. And then it's like, oh, you destroyed the throne. Oh no, and it's like,
yeah. So I wonder if it must have been an intentional decision to be that way. Not that like he didn't do a great job of it. I think it was just that's a direction that they went, and I'm just I think I would have rather seen him have a little bit more emotion with it, but
that's
anyway,
being
again,
10 out of 10 critical, right?
Again, me being like the nitpickiest of nitpicky,
right?
So
then we have Clive basically just finally being like, "What do you want, dude?"
Enough of your games, Kupka. Just tell me what you want.
Sid's head in a box. Imagine my disappointment when I learned that he met his end at the hand of another. And my relief to learn that you had taken up his thrice damned name.
Like, what is all of this about?
What the fuck is your problem?
And Kupka's like, I want Sid's head in a box. So then that's basically kind of his next line or two. Yeah, you fully get, oh, that for sure was Benedicta's head in a box. He like goes on to say like Sid defiled her body, so I want his head in a box. So you're like,
if you remember, and I think I brought this up when we talked about Benedicta, and Sid has a line of something, I forget what he's talking about, but he says, if I did that, they would have my head in a box. He said it as a phrase. I think talking about getting caught with bears or something like that.
Or he's like, we're outlaws. Like, if we get caught, like, it's our head in a box.
Yeah, I think he says that. Like
Interesting.
That as a phrase. So it seems like that is a typical thing to do. Like, I'll cut out your tongue type thing. Talking bad about the king, so I'm going to cut out your tongue.
Like,
it's
okay.
I was like, no, they put your head in a box and send it to your loved ones. Like, that's something apparently in this world that happens. And it's one of the most disrespectful ways to die, I think. So it wasn't even just like, I guess he says it here too. He's like, you defiled her body.
Yes. And then kind of goes on to say that, like, so he's like, imagine my disappointment when I found out Sid was dead. But he's like, but then I found out somebody took up his name.
Your master slew Benedicta Harmon and defiled her body. If you choose to bear that murderer's name, then you shall answer for his crimes.
So he's like, now I get to take, how does he put it? Sid took somebody I loved away, so I get to take somebody he loves away.
Yeah.
He's like, so now you're like, oh, okay, that's why he's been after Clive.
This is a moment.
This is why he's doing everything.
Mm-hmm. This is a moment, too, where I was like, hold on, we gotta stop and think about this, because this misconception of this conversation and fight is so unbelievable.
Yes.
Kupka thinks Sid is the one who killed Benedicta.
If you stop and think about this for a second.
Sid isn't the one who killed Benedicta. Clive, however, was. So he's thinking that
but
he's
not like
going
murderously. She was like out of control, kind of put her.
But Clive isn't the one who put her head in a box.
Yes.
You know that, and deliver it to him.
Yes. But he did
it. So Kupka thinks Sid is the one who did all that, but is going to kill Clive because he thinks Sid is the one who did that. But Clive only did half of what he thinks that Sid did.
Like the Kupka has the right man without knowing he has the right man.
But only half of the reason why he has the right man.
Because he didn't chop her head off.
Yeah, he wasn't the one who defiled her body and sent it to her.
And then you kind of take a moment back and you're like...
It was an accident that he killed her almost.
You're like, you know somebody else has done that. And then you're like, that has caused this 5-year, beef in this war.
This has caused, everything.
You're like, yeah, who is doing that?
Yeah. Going back to that is, who sent that... Who sent Benedicta's head? Who put it in a box and sent it to Kupka and said it was Sid?
Mm-hmm.
Who was behind that? We still don't really know.
Can keep all that, that's all going on in your head as the scene.
Coming back to it real shortly here.
The only crimes I shall answer for are my own. Sid did everything in his power to save that woman, though she was long past saving. And so I did what he couldn't. It was me all along, Hugo.
It was you.
Yeah, he's I killed Mufasa.
He's like,
in all seriousness, yes.
You want Sid for doing that. He was, he has a great line. He's like,
I killed Benedict.
He's like, Sid tried to save that woman. Yes. Well, he's like, but she was long past saving.
Yes.
Again, great line. And he's like, and I did it.
Yeah.
He's like, it was me. And I love because he's like, I feel like he could elaborate I did it because she was out of control. He just goes, I did it. And you're like, oh, he's trying to piss him off.
Yeah.
Right? He's not trying to elaborate and make it why he killed her. Because Kupka's like, why did you kill her?
It.
Exactly.
I don't think he's even trying to justify. I don't think he's there was just I guess the line before
misery or something.
She was past saving. I killed her.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
he's
right.
I did kill her.
So yeah,
and you're like,
and you killed my almost the entire hideaway.
Yes,
because you thought that Sid did. Yeah. So, God, yeah. There's so many layers to this part of the story, and it's
then their monologues here. Both of them are so good because then Kupka is like,
You killed her.
I did.
Then I am fortunate indeed. I had thought the most I could wish for was to take the life of one he loved, just as he did to me. But it seems I was wrong. And I shall have my revenge. We shared a dream! I would be the king of the world! She would be my queen! And together, we would rule like the gods we are! But you crushed that dream, ground it into dust! Hear me, Rosefield! You will pay for what you've done. I'll tear you apart
with my hands.
Oh my, I'm fortunate. He starts like laughing, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
You know, and then he's like, now I get to kill who actually did it. So he starts like slowly transforming and just like semi-priming and going off being like, I'll kill you, Rossfield. And you're just like, oh shit.
Yeah, I think he does I'll fucking kill you.
Yeah, he does his his thing of him. He's like, Benedicta and I had like the dream. He's like, I was gonna rule the world.
Yes.
She was gonna be my queen.
Yes.
And he's like, I'll effing kill you. And then Clive is like,
and what of you? How many people have you killed? How many dreams have you crushed? You're not the only one who's seen their world fall apart around them. You'll get no pity from me, Kupka. No pity. And no mercy.
How many people have you killed? Like, what are you talking about? He's like, everybody's had their world fall apart around him. Like, everybody's
you're not the only one whose world has fallen apart, or who has suffered
their dreams crushed,
suffered the pain of loss or something along those lines.
Right, exactly. So then that's where, and then he's got another great line. He's like, you'll get no pity from me, no pity, no mercy. And then they both at the same time are like,
Now
die! And you're just like, oh, battle. You're like reaching for your controller, right? And you're like, oh crap, go.
Yeah.
And just, so now
every
you
fight
have
is just epic in this scene. Like,
and then the cue of the
sets
music
up this amazing battle.
The cue of the music that's just perfectly intense. Have you heard it before? Like, it's hard to remember now playing the whole game, but if not, either way,
I wasn't paying as close enough attention.
Great boss battle music.
I would like to think, God, no, I can't remember specifically.
We might have. Either way,
I'll definitely have it. I know I have some footage.
Right. Yeah.
I think I would like to think that it's a new song. Probably. I don't think it's the typical. No, I think it is the main theme one.
Yeah. Either way, it just fits with the intensity, right? You're just like, oh, yeah. I do have a note. You don't have Torgal with you, so it's a little weird because you just got his limit break basically.
Yeah.
And then you don't use him for the fight, so you're like, oh, okay.
Straight on one.
Or because what happens is you think you're on Torgal, and then you use a potion.
Yeah.
So that'll probably happen.
But this is go all out, no holds barred.
Yes,
this is one of the hardest fights in the game.
Yeah.
I struggled with it both playthroughs. I mean, obviously easy mode, no. But
normal
mode the first time through, I was 10 HP, I swear. All potions used.
It was
everything.
Yeah.
I was one more hit, dude, and I'm dead. I
you will
was
use
so
most of your
close to losing
potions.
it first
Definitely
time through.
use all your buffs. Yeah.
Yeah. I used everything. It's hard mode. I want to say I might have even died on hard mode. I think I might have died and had to
I think I was
again.
close in hard mode. That
and
one was
not,
I've used everything.
It was even closer. Yeah. Both times this shit is hard.
So
you got to be on point with his dodging his stuff.
Yeah, this fight is definitely he goes on the attack, you just have to dodge for a little bit, and then kind of a little opening, you attack for a little bit. I think it's about after you stagger him once or so. Then there's this awesome, I say mid battle, but I mean in the middle of the battle. He's got a little bit more than half health. There's this little scene in the middle, and it's just again so awesome. It's like an anime just fight. To me, it's just what it just feels like. He literally does. Kupka literally does Titan's move. He grabs the ground and throws it up, and then Clive jumps over it. You're like, oh, okay, he made it, and then Kupka's just gone. And he's like, shit. Looks up, and he's just coming down at him, and just it's just so awesome. He just grabs him and just shoves him down all the way to the bottom of where you're fighting this castle, right?
Yeah, you go through the floor.
Shoves them down stories, just floors. And you're like, this is just so anime, Dragon Ball Z, where they're just punching through the ground, through the planet. You're like
did Akira Toriyama help with the direction,
choreography
or something? Because I know he did stuff with
because you're just
Trigger,
in the middle of the fight. You're like, this is awesome. Then all of a sudden you're just like, oh my god, we just pile drive them through stories.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just so awesome. Why do you have to do a
and
quick...
then Clive just gets up and it's like, all right.
do have a quick like action time thing in there. Like you do have to like dodge it, and I was like you've done one or two with Ifrit, but like the last one you did like with Clive was like, I'm like, was that like Garuda? Like,
yeah,
either way, it feels like it's been like
we've had to do,
and it's only this one like real small one. So it's kind of like, oh wait, one of those that hasn't popped up in forever. So then you're in like the bottom. You know, you just went through a bunch of floors, and it feels kind of like a temple, like, you know, right? Yeah, like these statues kind of around you. But they kind of, I think they explain it's like a crypt, kind of, or something. I don't.
It might be, yeah. That sounds about. It might either be. But then the Kupka starts laughing. And
yes, so they get up and you're
how
like,
fortunate am I? Like, the gods are in my favor, basically.
Yeah.
I'm in my element because they're surrounded now.
Because they're on the bottom.
Yeah,
they're
now
on
it's like
ground.
Which you kind of gather he can manipulate it.
Yeah, you start to see his like moves here now.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, he just has a bunch of just like AoE, like it's now like hard to dodge. Yeah. Like you have to get out of the
There's
the
some
damage,
that he does
right?
that are like almost the whole area. That you got to make sure you get to like the corner.
So again,
or jump and like
you can't just keep attacking. Like you're gonna have to dodge for a little bit, time when you attack. And if you notice, he does Titan's summons moves throughout Final Fantasy. Like they're always slightly named different. Titan's Fury, Earth's Fury, Earthern Fury, or something like that. And it's like as you like he like does that, he'll do Earthern Fury or something. And you're like, oh, that's like when you summon Titan. That's like what he does. Gaia's Wrath or something. And you're like, oh, he does like another one. You're like, I thought that was a great like.
Is awesome.
Final Fantasy. Just nod, or whatever
again,
you call
we say it every episode. There's another like this boss battle was fantastic.
This is
one of my favorite boss battles for sure. And God, I can't. If I had to pick a top 5 moments in this game, it would be impossible because
honestly, as we keep
so
going,
many times. Like again, this moment was so awesome, and it's like we've built up a whole story within the whole story.
Yes.
Like we have now we're coming to a conclusion.
Like Game of Thrones wise, it's like, oh yes, okay, we've kind of hinted at the winter coming and the Night King, right?
Yeah, it's like that's like
but
the underlying
now,
factor.
like Clive and Kupka, this is like Stark versus Lannister.
Yes.
Where it's like, yes, we know there's the bigger story, but like this bitch has got to die.
We're starting. we're ending a season. It feels like. We're at that climactic battle.
I wanted to make a comment about that. I kind of was saying that earlier, and it's like, 16 does just play like a TV series where there's like a season, a character gets like their time, and then you kind of go on to like another season. Maybe they're not in as much. We just finished Jill's arc, her season, and now it's like this is Kupka's like season. Now we all learned everything about like him, and now it's like
getting his back,
going to the fight at the end, and like
whereas like what this has been building for like 2 seasons before it.
Yes, where we've
like,
seen
this has slowly been building. We know this was gonna clash of titans, if you will, would be happening. So this fight definitely encapsulates the
and
whole
like so
thing.
satisfying too. Like again, they just nail it where it's like just that little bit of long, not too long, where you're like, it's like you beat him and you're like
sweaty by the end of it.
You're like, oh my god, he's
and very satisfying. You finally do beat him. I don't think there's any more.
I just have one move because he like gains in size a little bit, so I think this is a little interesting because we've seen everybody semi-prime and then their icon. He has like an in between form. He went like mini Titan, like mini compared to the actual like Titan.
I think I was too busy dodging
and like does like another move, Guy's Wrath or like whatever. But I just was like, he's like super semi-prime.
Yeah, he's an ascended.
He's like like he's like super Vegeta, whatever. He's like that, but like he got a little bit bigger. Yeah, ascended.
He's an ascended prime. That's what he's.
Well, this is the level beyond the ascended level of Oh gosh.
But
so you
for real.
So then you beat
Akira Toriyama must have come back for this.
And when he powers up too, he's so super.
He's so just straight. It's you can't get anything.
So great,
but you can.
Great, So great fight, and then basically the scene right after, they're kind of still finishing up their like scrap. See a couple swings going on, right?
Yeah, now we go into a scene to finish the battle, right?
Yes.
So, like, you beat him, the bar, but now it's, like, in that, and it's not an action-timed one, right? But now,
and you're
God,
just, you're like waiting, they're going back and forth, they're kind of waiting for it, and then there's another jaw-dropping moment. Kupka goes to...
He goes to do a, like...
pile drive him, right?
Overhead double fist.
Yeah,
like,
just crush Clive. And he reaches for his sword last second, and...
as Kupka comes down, he comes up. And
how did you put it when you were streaming the other day? Like, the Anakin move, where he disarms Dooku, right?
Yes. It's pretty close to that. It's not as slick, because, like, Anakin does a thing where he, like, flips his sword and then takes Dooku's and uses it to, like, flip his hands. But it's in that same thing where he just, like, boom, clean, both hands from the wrist.
And you just, like, see it. It, like, literally slows down for a second. So you see it just, like, literally get cut, blood, and then just, like, slowly separating. Yeah. And just, you just, like, see it, and you're just, like, jaw-dropping, like, what game am I playing again? Is this Final Fantasy?
Yeah.
Like,
again,
you know, right?
Like, holy shit.
Oh, man. Again, every scene we're just, like...
graphics. Never seen anything to this extent in it. Like, it is, when they say it wanted to be, like, Game of Thrones, like, gore-wise, like, this is, like, his hands, this is Jaime Lannister.
Yeah,
you know?
oh my gosh, that is right.
Except for both hands. And he, now, Kupka, like, screams in pain. And again, voice acting. One of the things that, like, you don't really think about too much with voice acting, but just the screams of pain.
Believe it,
is just like, oh my god. And then he's...
I'll kill you! I'll kill you! I'll kill you!
And he starts just banging onto the ground with his knees onto the ground,
and then
over and over and over, and it's like shaking the whole
basically causing an earthquake. You're like, how are you not just unconscious
and just the puddle of blood is just getting bigger. You see it pouring out of his hands
right in front of him,
and his hands are on the floor,
and as Clive comes up behind him, and you're like, oh my god, like, are we just gonna see, like, chop off? And then his weird power kicks in.
And it's weird, he doesn't even touch him again.
Yes.
This is another one where he gets closer. And then all of a sudden just...
Because the other ones were all...
Like, again, like, he had to touch Sid.
I don't think he did Benedicta, but he got
But Benedicta,
close,
he went to reach for her and had it. And this is another one now. He didn't even reach. This one, he had the sword back, and he's, like, a few steps away, and then all of a sudden it, like, comes into his chest.
Yes.
And so it's kind of weird. It's like, what is triggering?
And again, it's, like, painful. Like, again, he can't move. Like, he cannot finish off Kupka.
So Benedicta's...
Where, again, I remember making the point of Ramu. It didn't seem like he was, like, he wasn't in pain. Like, if it was the same amount of pain, he would have, like... He was holding Sid. He would have, like, dropped him and been like, you know, like, ah.
Yeah.
This one's, like, again, he literally, like, crumbles to his knees in pain. Cannot finish off Kupka.
Yeah.
And then we see Kupka get up, and you're like, how is this motherfucker still going?
I'll fucking kill you.
And he's just like, I'll fucking kill you.
Yeah.
And he's like, again, the voice acting, he sounds like he is going through shock.
Yes.
Like, there's, like, a little bit of, like, slurring that he does, right? It's just like, I'll fucking kill you. You know, that you're like,
he's totally
this
lost
sounds
it,
like,
hyped up on adrenaline and shock. Yeah, that he doesn't even... feel it or something, but he is just ballistic at this point, and you're like, oh shit. Like,
you're like, well, now what's gonna happen? Then all of a sudden, a figure, like, it's kind of like the smoke, the dust from shit falling. A figure just kind of, like, comes next to Kupka, one-shots him in the gut.
Again, DBZ,
just the classic
like,
knockout.
Comes out of nowhere and just is like, ugh.
And then lifts him up.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, he's literally, like, Kupka's literally the size of the Hulk.
Yeah.
And he got his hands cut off or whatever, so, but it's like still just one-shots him and lifts him up. And he's a scrawny figure.
Again,
DBZ style, like,
over his head, one
Nappa.
Yeah.
After Goku basically just wrecks him, he just holds him up.
Kupka is like the size of Nappa. And then it's like Vegeta coming in and just like holding him one-handed above him and just starts walking off with him. And then, but he actually says...
Walks away and then Clive's like, get back here, right? Wait! And he's just like, another time, Mythos.
Yes.
Another time, Mythos.
And now you're like, again, jaw drops. You're like
Mythos.
The only
what
time
did he say?
Yeah, what did he say? The only time we've heard that was that voice that we've like figured out was Ultima, like basic, you know?
Yeah, which again showed up in the last episode, and we were debating, okay, who is this guy? Like we thought, was he Joshua? Hood, right? Is he Ultima? Now this guy's back. I thought we were done with him, and he showed up and he did the whole hand thing, and we thought caused it.
Yep. And this is now we see a weird figure.
He seems to keep popping up in these moments.
Yes.
In these iconic moments. See what I did there?
Yeah. Iconic moments.
I'm good at Vegeta. But like literally in these big moments, and there always seems to be that guy showing up, but now this time another guy shows up without a hood. Is that the guy? Because now he calls him Mythos. Nobody has called him Mythos at this point. So like I don't think Ultima even called, or no, Ultima might have called him Mythos.
You know, it might, again, in the weird language that I'm still like, is that like just in your head, like you're hearing it, or is it like, is he, it is a different language and you just understand it in your head?
So it's like, who is this?
But again,
guy?
you're
is
like,
this Ultima?
Yeah.
Like at this point, you're like, I don't.
Right.
Is this the new form of that guy? But he looks human. Is the thing. Like we say, guy, he looks human. He's got white hair, right?
I don't think it really shows it. But like, I mean, like he just has the one little line of just like an accent of like,
and then just
not
turns
now,
around,
Mythos, and you're like,
turns around, walks away, disappears.
Gone. Yep.
And then it jumps outside at this point.
Yes.
Right?
To like Gav, Jill, and Torgal, and they're fighting off some guys, and I think they mention that it's Waloed. So, then it's kind of funny because now you have, third party show up, and you have like all four of like the nation. Like you have Sanbrek is occupying Rosaria, Dhalmekia is attacking them, and now Waloed has shown up.
Yeah.
So you're like, so now you're like, wait, what is?
And if you want to consider Clive even Clive's almost his own nation.
Yeah, right. The outlaws, right? So you
literally have like they're one small
somebody
city,
representing everybody.
Yeah,
in here now, and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah. So this, I guess, first playthrough really didn't click because you haven't heard much of Waloed.
Yes.
So it was kind of like, who's Waloed? Because we haven't heard anything since opening scenes. They talked about Waloed.
And then like Benedicta.
And then Benedicta was talking with her.
Yeah, so you kind of like
haven't
forget about that.
Benedicta, we haven't really heard anything much of it other than we know that they've been fighting Sanbrek. So I kind of was like, I almost forgot about him.
Yeah, you're like, and I think that's Dhalmek.
It was just like, oh, that's weird. Why is Waloed there? And then it was like, oh, the guy who came to get Kupka showed up with Waloed soldiers.
Yes.
So, okay, somehow he's with Waloed.
Yes.
Right. Like, you can pick that up now.
So
I think Clive it would explain it too if you go into the lore, the active lore. I would assume it would explain that a little bit too.
Right, yeah. As always,
like the Waloed soldiers showed up and saved Kupka.
Yes.
So this is also where you're like, Kupka just agreed to join Sanbrek, basically. Right?
Annabella, right, yeah.
So why is Waloed saving Kupka?
Yeah.
Who is fighting Sanbrek. So not only like Kupka went to the enemy, then is getting saved by the other enemy.
Yeah.
You're like, what?
So you're like, wait, what?
What is going on with
Clive
this?
makes it back like topside.
Yeah.
Says what up to the other guys, and is like, that's basically what him and Gav then kind of talk and basically figure out like, when did Waloed show up? It's like, and assume that's who took Kupka away, and I think Gavi puts it.
I'll be fucked if I know what's going on, but every minute we spend racking our brains, that bastard's getting further away.
Well, fuck if I know what to make of it, or something.
Yeah, this is another one of his great lines,
He's basically just literally says, and you're like, exactly, right? So then you just basically
it was like, but let's get out of here.
Yeah, like, let's head back. Clive even says, like, didn't finish Kupka off, damn it. Yeah. But, like, let's head back to
my special
the hideaway.
Things or whatever got in the way.
So I'm like, okay, yeah, he didn't finish off Kupka, but Jill didn't die. I'm like, okay, good.
Yeah.
It's like, all right.
Chopped off his hands, though.
But you definitely now have a couple questions.
Yeah.
You're like a little like, what?
Like, what is happening? Yeah, another one of those moments, like, you got an answer or two, and then it's just more questions.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on
like,
now?
oh, yeah, and Torgal, what the hell?
Yeah, you almost forget by this point after that awesome fight, and you're like, wait, yeah, Torgal, what
the
hell was that all about? But that was awesome. Thank you, Torgal, for saving Jill, because she'd have been dead otherwise.
Yes. Oh, God, yeah. Can you imagine if they went that route, just straight up, like, get her head chopped off, and it's like...
pulled a 7, yeah.
Yeah. Like, are you shitting me?
Yeah.
After you just, like, have her, like, arc. Oh, God, that'd be just terrible. I think they realized, like, all right, we don't want to piss everybody off.
Yeah.
Like, all right. But then, so you just go back to the hideout after that, and gives you a scene, and it's just Taria telling Jill to rest. And you're like, yeah, I thought you were supposed to, like, rest. Maybe you should have stayed back.
Killed. She's hurt again here, right? Oh, Gav is the one who was like, I'm going to go talk with Hippocrates. I really want to know what the hell that was with Torgal.
So, I don't know if other people make that connection, but, like, he basically connects it to, like, he, like, semi-primed. He's, like, was, like, turning into, like, Gav mentions kind of, like, he's, like, basically says, like, he, like, kind of turned into an icon, and you're like, oh, that's, like, what happened. Oh, that is kind of like semi-priming.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm going to go, talk to Tomes and see, if anybody's in history, if that's happened before.
Heard of anything like this.
Clive is like, oh, yeah, I didn't even think of that. And you're like, what? Yeah. Like,
it's kind of funny. It's like 9, and they do trance. Right? So you get your trances, and they, like, kind of explain it, and then all of a sudden it's like, be like an animal just got it. And they're like, I didn't know that was really possible. I guess nothing says,
but yeah.
Actually, I guess it does have one like Mog does. And then they're like, wait, he just had trance. And they're like, wait, I didn't know Moogles could do
actually,
trance.
Like in 9, that's like the whole thing. Who's just like, a Moogle can do it. I could do it. Like,
yeah. But anyway, I guess. So, yeah, he runs off to go talk to Tomes.
Oh, and Gabby also raises a good point, like, because if he is he getting affected by the Crystal's curse? Like, is Torgal transforming, semi-priming, deteriorating him? So you're like, oh no. You're like, no, not Torgal. Like,
Torgal starts getting...
So then you get control of Clive again, and you have Titan's abilities.
Yes. Oh, we
That's another thing, like, you kind of like forget about that. You're like, oh no, we did draw his power. Like, you didn't fight Titan, so you're kind of like, oh wait, no, yeah, like, we did have the powers, though.
Yeah, I guess we can briefly go over them. This one's kind of a very interesting now circle ability. You get a block.
Yes.
Which is a way to guard in there.
I was kind of like, one of those, like, you're like, oh, now you get it? Like, there just wasn't a guard this whole time.
Which can be very tricky, but, like, is really cool how they do it, because you can do a timing where you just sit there and you guard, but you can also do one where if you time it perfectly... It's kind of like a parry thing, and then I believe you can counter kind of with it.
Yes, I think you counter, right?
And then kind of like how you've had other moves that kind of do that, but like just his circle ability does it.
Yeah.
In this way.
So it is nice. Again, so like if you're... I just did not use it much because you just keep dodging. You got used to dodging this whole game.
I didn't use the...
But if like sometimes like you're not going to like dodge it or something like that, it's like a big area effect, like then you can block. And again, it doesn't have to be perfectly timed.
Yes.
If you do it, it's even better, and then you can get like a counter. So again, if you get good at it, if you practice it a little bit, I think it could be really useful. You can not take damage, reduce damage, you're countering it. Titan's moves do damage. That's the thing, obviously.
I immediately swapped it with Ramuh's abilities.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay,
because I didn't like Ramuh's circle ability. To me, it was just that it's too slow. It didn't seem.
I think I got rid of like a Efreet Phoenix or something because I'm like you have those.
Yeah, I remember you saying you're like I'm gonna use that again when I replay. So like I'm sick of Phoenixes. So
exactly. Yeah.
I'll put it on. But this is where it's fun because now you get really customizable. You only can have 3, but you have 4 types, with each having 4 abilities, but you can only have 2 per type. So you can only have 6 abilities out of 3 icon powers, but now you have 4 with 12, right?
Yeah.
No, 16?
So each, 4 by 4. They have their super move or whatever.
If you get the super, which you probably don't. You probably could get 1 by this point,
Yeah, it's a little tricky. Yeah,
it's pretty expensive.
But again, a tip is, again, you can only have 6, so you don't need. Let's say you're not using Ramuh's abilities, you don't need to have those leveled, so you can actually reset those,
which is one of the best things they do.
And then have.
That you don't have to worry. Oh, I leveled wrong. Shit. Now I have to use Ramuh the rest of the game because I wasted abilities. Right? Yeah. No, it's just you can just reset and get those ability points
always
back.
Have your.
So you can always change it.
Your abilities equipped. You have those upped.
Yes.
And you eventually get to a point where what you have equipped will be like mastered, and then you can
And once you master it, this is where it really gets
now
fun.
It comes into mastering, right?
Yeah, and at this point,
I would
you
say
probably
before you probably don't even need to. I don't even know if it.
There was no reason to.
Does any more damage?
I don't think it does.
I don't know.
The only reason would have been you wanted all 3 of Garuda's abilities or something, so you can swap out one.
Yes, yeah.
But now it's like, okay, I didn't. This is where I actually did for a long time in the game. I think I didn't like Ramuh's circle, so I put in Titan, but then I mastered some abilities from the other ones and put them over Titan's because I didn't necessarily like. I liked his abilities, but his abilities, I guess we should explain, 2 of his
they're charged like
abilities.
Timing too.
Yeah, so they don't do a full damage. You get like a meter and you got to time it.
So it does take a second or 2 to get off.
Yeah, so I started to not like it as much. I wanted more instant
slow but
ones.
powerful.
Yes, but do a lot.
Yeah.
This is where I started though changing my abilities constantly.
Yes. So I was going to say, really I think that's eventually what I did is took out. I'm trying to think because took out Ramuh's circle ability, had Titan's block, but like still had Ramuh's abilities, or like had one of them or something. But yeah, so he has like a one punch one, like Titan's punch, whatever. Again, that one's probably like one of the strongest moves. Like even at this point,
straight power is probably.
And so again, it takes a second or 2 to charge, but like if you do it at the end of a stagger, it takes a chunk off.
Yeah,
like perfect. I loved the other move, Upheaval, because
you can do that one in the air, right?
Yes. If you read into the ability, it does tell you can use it in the air. And so what I would do is I would use Garuda's
Wicked Wheel.
Wicked Wheel, thank you.
Where it spins.
So you would go up into the air.
Oh, I never even thought
of that. And then
that.
in the air, if you do Upheaval, it doesn't charge. So then it's instant and you slam into the ground. So then you do great stagger damage, and then Upheaval's like 3 and 3, like the stars.
Good, yeah.
So it does good damage and good. So now you're doing great stagger.
And that one does a good area.
Yes. Right. So I loved to use those 2 moves together. And it did, I think again, if you read it, Upheaval, it does say the higher you are, the more, like that's the more charged it is.
Oh.
So if you only jump and then do it, it isn't. You don't charge it, but like that's kind of how you charge it.
Gotcha.
So if you use Garuda and go up in the air a little bit, and then
you can juggle at this point now. Yeah, you can definitely bring somebody up, attack for a while with Garuda, and bring them up again, and they
go up.
I've seen some people do some crazy combos.
Upheaval and just slam it in the ground.
This is where it starts to now you can really experiment with a lot of abilities.
And I think you can kind of figure out like Garuda and Titan seem to work together, right?
Yeah.
Whenever the little did that, like and then again, like Phoenix and Ramuh's work really good because you can dash forward and then instantly just do like that pile drive one or something, right? But I used those 2 abilities the most. I did not use. You get another counter /
I believe it's
block.
called Raging Fist. I think that one is. I used that one for a while
again
because I kind of like.
It's like a dodge or a block.
It's a counter.
You time it right, and then it does a lot of damage. So if you get it off, and again you get good at it, you block or you dodge, and then you counter and just wail on them.
Yeah, it's just one that like if you just do it, it like punches him once. But if you time it, he like will counter the ability, so you don't take damage if I remember right. And then like does like a spin or whatever, and then he punches him like 10 times and like super fast, like and does way more damage.
Fists you.
Straight up the ass, no return.
Yeah, no. But
so,
to me, what happened for me is I would remember to either do the block, the circle, or that move. You know what I mean? Like, or the Raging Fist. So if I had Raging Fist equipped, I'd be like, oh, I can't block because that's on cooldown. or you know what I mean. I'd get like mixed up between the two, so I wouldn't use my block because like, oh, it's on cooldown.
Yeah,
even though it's not.
It was one of those. It gets a lot to remember.
Yeah,
so right.
Then his super move, like it's good and bad.
I used it for a while.
I used it for a while too,
and then used it for a while.
Yeah. I feel it does really good damage, and it's only really good against like regular guys, the small guys, because it hits them and knocks them back, hits them again.
Yeah,
bigger guys.
It's a huge area too.
Huge area. That's the best.
And
part
it goes
about
really
it.
far.
But
whereas
Phoenix's
is a big area around you, but
it just hits like everywhere. Phoenix.
Yeah, it hits like
you
all
can
around
mess
you,
with it still.
But Titans, I think, goes farther forward.
Yeah.
And I think does more damage.
Mm-hmm. But again, so like on bigger guys and bosses, they would just get hit.
It also has
once.
a lot less cooldown than Phoenix's. Phoenix's final ability has a long cooldown.
That is one of the longer ones, yeah.
That one's way shorter.
Again, it's like one of those moves where, again, good on like regular guys when they come to a boss fight. Like Ramu's like Judgment Bolt, that did like more, and then Garuda's did stagger. So I was like, that one's okay. Try them out, but again, the whole point now it's a very fun part. You can master abilities, mix and match them.
You're starting to get to the point, if you've done all of the side quests and stuff, you're starting to get to a point where you've racked up some good ability points that you can definitely
again the renown gives you chunks. Also, you'll get like 400.
Yeah.
So it's like that if you're trying to check in on that, and all of a sudden you might
I figured out that accessory that I always talk about with the like
from that.
Yeah, you get it from the
Berserker ring.
Yes,
so shout out that. You might want to do just a little bit of side quest to get some renown.
I still think it's
to
the best.
Get the Berserker ring, which is a little misleading title because I'm like, oh, it causes berserk, you take more damage, do more. It just says that basically if you do a perfect dodge, like increases your attack, but I swear it makes dodging easier.
It does. It increases the window.
Slows it, like, so it's easier to dodge, slows down time when you dodge, so like you even easier to counter. Then what it means by do more is you basically do your limit break attack.
You do the
limit
first
break
combo. Yeah, not
so
like
you can see his sword, like he kind of, I don't know, his arm goes a little semi-prime, and he does like that combo.
So in a normal precision dodge, it's a very small window, right? Mm-hmm. And then you would dodge aside, and then time stops for like a very brief window, and if you attack immediately, you can do like one attack.
Yes.
This is like increases the window by like double the amount.
Just makes it easy.
You dodge to the side, and then it slows it down for a lot longer. That you can even dash to him and then do your whole combo.
You get like a whole combo instead of
it's not like a cooldown thing or anything. It's like every time you dodge. Mm-hmm. So I got it there, equipped it, had it throughout the entire rest of the game. I had it throughout. I'm now through all of my hard mode.
Yeah,
I have not taken it off. It is like to me, it was just so good to make your dodging better and offense. Yeah, it's a fantastic, almost broken. Like I took it off for like one. I took it off one time, and I was like, I can't.
I took it off because of that, and it takes getting used to that. Because then I remember I wasn't dodging as good, and then like it throws off your whole like, oh, you only attack once when you counter. So you get pretty used to it.
So good.
Yeah, so that's like Titan's abilities, I think. There.
Yeah,
so
I don't think there's much more.
Back at the hideaway, you do your typical.
I don't think there's much more that opens up first. I think it's again like just right away go talk to Otto.
Yeah.
Before I think a lot of things really open up. Like I think
that's true. Yeah.
I think you talk to him first, and then everything, right?
Yeah.
Because then the scene goes
right.
We get introduced to a new character in the game, right? Or am I missing something?
Nope. Yeah, that's
my notes I just had was talk to Otto, and then I forget what he really is explaining.
I was just gonna say I forget like kind of.
I
think you're just like I mean to fill in,
what happened. Yeah,
what happened.
I think that's it.
And then
I don't remember. Does she interrupt him or does he introduce her? I think she
just shows up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, this is mid.
Yeah.
And we have.
If you wouldn't.
I don't know if they even do they say mid.
Yeah,
I think they do. Do they do reference?
She says a line and then he goes mid. I didn't know you were back.
No, I mean like earlier.
There was
in text
it was
they
a
did
side
say
quest
mid.
or just a small conversation with someone. I think it was a side quest and he finished it.
And then you, like,
and he
talked
was
after,
like,
yeah.
oh yeah, Sid's daughter, Mid, was in Canver. And I remember we talked about it.
We do talk about it, yes.
Because I was like, keep a note of that. Like, you could have missed that, but like that's very important.
Because otherwise you're just
Sid
like,
has a daughter.
okay, this is another new person from the 5-year gap. But now you're like, yes and no.
Yeah.
Which
you would think too, it would kind of make so like she was in school now. I think
because then she talks to Vivian.
Like
it seems like she knows Vivian. She calls her like Professor.
Yeah.
So Vivian then comes out and is
Vivian,
like, "You're annoying."
She annoys the shit out of Vivian.
You get that
hilarious.
immediately.
Vivian was just like, "Oh my god, how did I get so unlucky to have you here?"
Yep. Yeah.
She annoys the shit out of her.
And then basically, yeah. So then they're just kind of like, we have to figure out where Kupka is, where he ran off to. That's going to take some time. Mid's asking for...
Yeah, and then Mid's like, I'm going to work on something. I need your help to get the parts or something.
Because she's explained... Because I think Otto's like, what about school? So, like, again, references that the little small text. We know that she was in school in Canver.
Which is in
Vivian was, like, a teacher. Yeah, we, like, kind of later figure out it's, like, in the Delmecchia area. And then schools, postponed, whatever. They kind of explain that. And so she's now back at the hideaway and is like...
And this is where you find out this is where they kind of briefly hint at that Sid was an engineer and Sid...
Yeah.
Because he was the reason...
Make the hideout.
Yeah. And he's the reason that it all worked in the Blight.
Yes.
To begin with.
Yes.
He was able to figure that all out. So he was a very good engineer, but they really hammer home the Sid being an engineer through Mid.
Yes.
And I can't believe I didn't remember this. Well, I guess I don't remember anything from 5. But until I was re-listening to, again, another shout out to Final Fantasy Weekly, listening through their playthrough or discussion of Final Fantasy V, and they brought up that Sid and Mid are in that game, and I was like, oh my god, I can't remember.
You told me this just the other day.
About Mid
did not know that. I did not know
apparently it was Sid's grandson. So it was like, so this is now even better.
Yes.
Even better that she was bringing back a character, but changing slightly. Because she is a granddaughter.
I feel like there is another one where Sid has a kid,
Well,
or
15
something.
is Cindy.
That's true. Okay,
so
maybe
Sid,
something
and then
like
Cindy's the one who you deal with more.
Even like an earlier, like 3 or something like that, had something like Sid has a kid. So I thought it was
I
like
think
that.
3 you're Sid. Oh no, you're adopted kids. But yeah,
You're
so
adopted.
it was like this was cool.
But yeah, so it was cool. So you learn.
I guess we should explain too that she's blonde, has a really long braided hair
braided ponytail,
I don't know
all the way down to the butt,
Final Fantasy really loves the long hair.
Yeah, up and Aerith,
Aerith is way down. Tifa's is down.
Tifa's is, that's hilarious.
Jill's is also really long.
Yeah,
Tarya's now grew really long to they're almost their butt.
Somebody likes long hair, I guess.
Long hair. Yeah. Anyhow, so. Just a smaller character, but she's a spitfire, kind of like a Yuffie.
She talks so fast, right? You're like, wait, what'd she say?
Kind of like a Yuffie,
loud, a little obnoxious, right? Yeah, you can tell she's younger, right?
There you are! I've been looking everywhere for you. Bernard's here. I need you to introduce us so we can get to work.
I don't know if I think they say she's 16 even or something, right? She's really young that you wouldn't expect.
I'm trying to remember, because
16 to 20.
You feel like she's younger because they talk about her being in school.
Yeah.
And then I think eventually
you look like that, but
break down the age or something. Yeah, you can figure out
I forget exactly, but
she's younger. Yeah.
I do really like her as a character, though. She's So now ask you for help to go do some fetch quests. Mumbo jumbo.
I
don't know how much
seems
we
like
get into.
this is your first time seeing her. There's one mention of her before, but it's clearly Clive has known her now throughout these 5 years.
Yeah,
it
seems like they have definitely met before.
Yes, right. So that's why. So she's asking him for help now. To go do something.
So you go talk to her. I think this will be the last thing we really talk about before this episode's over. Trying to keep it a little bit shorter, but I think so. You go talk to her, and she explains that she's trying to build. Is this an airship or just a ship?
She's just her workshop. She's I'm going to be
all she's doing right
staying
now
here now.
Oh, okay.
She's like, it's time for me. She's like, I went and learned. Like, I feel like I've learned everything now. I went to school to learn how to help these people. I feel I've learned everything. Like now it's time to help.
Okay, that's what it was.
So she's like, I need a workshop. Like, I'm staying here. So then you're kind of, you go do like a couple fetch quests, like, for her.
Yeah, which take a while, of course.
I just have one note. She goes, you go talk to Karen. And Karen mentions that Mid is the reason that they have clean water. So even this would probably be even for the first hideaway, Sid's hideout.
Yeah. Because you gather, like, you can't drink that, like, ocean water.
Like, again,
especially
like,
the blighted
the one
water.
side of quest we talked about before. I think that one was Cock and Ball.
Cock and Balls, yeah.
Cock.
That,
the water's bad. It's poisonous, essentially. So then, even...
I guess you could think of it like
5 years ago, water, and then even how long ago Sid's hideaway was, that how young Mid was, she even invented back then something to purify blighted water.
Yeah. So she's the true genius in this game.
Yes. So Sid in the airship, but you're kind of like, oh, it's like Mid. Like, that's where you're like, that makes sense now.
I don't know now, though, if the lore is in there. If you can talk to Hippocrates and get some more lore on her and backstory yet.
Right. Or if it comes up a little bit.
Because I'm pretty sure they end up saying she's an adopted daughter,
I was going to mention that too. I feel like that. I think it's just in the lore.
Yeah,
but they do, because then you start to wonder who was her mom.
Right.
That's probably one of your first questions. And I think if you do break down, which then it gets, but then that's like weird, because like that would make sense, because Sid was a little bit of an engineer and like, oh, it runs in the blood, but then you're like, wait, it kind of says she's adopted, but I guess that's still like he passed it on to her. I don't know. I forget again like what it says, when adopted and raised her, but I feel like that was mentioned somewhere in the lore, but I'm like, it's just his daughter, right? Yeah. All right, yeah.
I guess, I think though that's where you bring her back. One of the things, there's like 3 things she wants you to get.
You go talk to Karen in Blackthorn, and then you go talk, like, you need a woodworker, and then classic Final Fantasy fashion, it's like, oh, go to like Martha's Rest, and then you gotta go.
The guy who built you the bridge, you gotta go get him, bring him back.
Go clear out some monsters to help him out.
Mm-hmm. Then there's another.
Then we do
Hippocrates.
Yes.
Now
so then
you're waiting for Bernard to get there.
Yes.
You go talk to Hippocrates, who did find something on.
So Gav's like, oh, you gotta come talk to Hippocrates.
Yeah.
So then, that's what I have. I'm like, when this like dicking around with Mid, it gets a little bit long. Mm-hmm. You're kind of like, there's some other stuff I want to do. Like again, like Torgal, Kupka.
Yeah,
Joshua, Ultima, the overall story, right? You're kind of like,
but I do get it, because it was like back-to-back big areas of story, and now this is like, all right, we're gonna let you digest this a little bit.
And again, I think,
and if you want to go and do now this is where the world is open up. You have a lot of different places in the
a couple more side quests, a couple hunts.
Go explore. You can go level up if you want. Mm-hmm. Do some fighting, and
so
test out your new abilities.
It's not bad. It's one of those I think feels a little bit longer because we. Doing everything, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, come on, let's get on with the story.
Yeah. But so Hippocrates has some new information for you about Torgal, and explains that
what does he say?
He's not a normal wolf.
He's a rare frost wolf.
Yes, from the Northern Territories.
Yes. So then I think you were asking about this, I think when you were streaming, I think they do just hint at like, oh yeah, Torgal was. I think more. Torgal was brought back from the Northern Territories.
Yeah. I think Gav asked him when you first go up. He goes, "How did you get Torgal to begin with?" And he goes, "Oh, well, my father brought him from the Northern Territories."
I think maybe that was mentioned earlier. How does he explain? He's like they found him in like a blizzard, basically by himself.
Yeah, and they couldn't find him, so they brought him.
And if you remember the beginning, he was tiny little cute puppy.
Yeah. So I think
picture
that first scene when his dad shows up through the gates. I think that's when he has Torgal. So they were, I think, on an expedition up in the Northern Territories.
Clive already has Torgal.
No, I think he shows up.
Because remember, he runs in, and he's like, "Oh, Torgal, like stop."
Oh, is that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So he already had him.
So he does already have him, but again, like I think that's what you get. Like, there's been multiple North expeditions. Yeah. Either way, I mean, just picture that tiny little puppy in a blizzard. Because you're thinking like what he is now. You're like. Why'd you bring him back? No, it was...
They didn't know he was a frost wolf from Northern Territories.
Game of Thrones, the dire wolves, and then they go into giant human, size, and you're like, we didn't know they were that, but yeah. But anyway, so then explains there is a legend of a rare frost wolf from like the Northern Territories, which again we kind of that's like where Jill came from. They used to have like their own mother crystal. Mm-hmm. Basically, you figured out that's like the snowy place.
Yes, and that's where Shiva's dominant comes from. The Northern Territories. That's where she normally would be.
And then there's a legend of a Fenrir. Is it Fenrir?
I think it's Fenrir.
Fenrir. And how there's like this legend of like...
In one of our oldest bestiaries, I found reference to a frost wolf who served as guardian to an ancient queen of the north. Such was his mastery over ether, he could cast magics on command. His name was Fenrir.
Fenrir the Frost Wolf.
Basically how he explains it, there's basically like an old, dominant of Shiva who was like a queen and had trusty companion, this legendary frost wolf, Fenrir. I'm going to keep
messing it up. It was that her powers, it was either that like rubbed off or she gave her powers. Like, I wonder if it's like how Clive had the blessing of the Phoenix. I wonder if it was like that to
yes, that's basically what the legend was.
Yeah.
And then, is what he explains. So then they're kind of like, could that be the same thing with Torgal?
Yeah.
And so they're thinking
then around Jill
that they're both Joshua. From the Northern Territories, Jill and Torgal, that has something to kind of do with like her passing on,
could be descendants of them,
some powers. Making a note, he is not Fenrir. He is just like the same thing. So you know what I mean?
I always thought they were saying it, but now that you said it, he's like the legend is Fenrir.
Yes.
But they're like, they're not necessarily saying that, but it's like that could be.
They're saying similar properties. So yes,
he could be semi-priming towards Fenrir is what this could be.
That's kind of like in a way of what I felt like it was too. Yeah, that.
Which was like, okay, cool. That explained it.
So they explain.
That makes sense.
A little bit now of history of Torgal, and they explain. Oh, and then he does just real. I thought it was just funny because almost the whole point of Gav going and talking to him was like, is Torgal hurting? Is this hurting him?
Yeah.
That was a big point of it. And then he real quick is like, Harpocrates is just like, it doesn't look like his health is, an issue.
Yeah, he seems fine.
And you're like, one, how do you know? Two, are you a doctor? Like, but it just real quick, it does say it doesn't seem...
He doesn't seem in pain. He still is eating it.
There isn't a sign of a crystal curse,
Right. He seemed fine.
Which is interesting. You can make a note of that.
So, is there anything little now that we want to go into? Because I think this is close to when now we jump into another scene that I think we should save for later.
Yeah.
We could go further, but we keep getting really long in these episodes, and we'll keep it a little bit shorter.
You go build Mid's workshop, and I think you just get a little bit more of her explanation being Sid's kid, wanting to, help out the hideaway and the cause. So
so I think that'll be a good spot to stop because now some more things happen. There's a little bit more before we get into another big stage, but actually there's a while before we get to a big stage, so we wanted to do just a little bit of that so that hopefully we can get to that by the end of next episode.
Trying to bang out a couple more here, a little bit shorter, a little bit sooner episodes here, because we know we do have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth just right on the horizon.
Yeah, it's gonna
like literally a month away.
We're not gonna wanna.
We'll still try to figure out if do an episode or two of that maybe. In the middle of 16 here. Come back to 16.
We're still debating. Do we do a quick episode?
Then come back and do a deep dive into Rebirth.
See timing. Maybe we do. Like once we beat Rebirth, we just do a quick pause from this and do like a one-time analysis of Rebirth and 7 and do a nice long episode of that and then go back right into 16.
Right, 16? Finish up 16 here, but
so I think right there wrap that all up. That was an awesome. We're still not finished with Kupka.
Yes,
he still is out there. He's still alive.
So to sum it up, our super frank take of Kupka is it's fucker won't die. Like, they for 5 years have been beefing. He cuts off his hands, and he's still not going down.
Super badass moment last time. Now Clive is like, I gotta top Jill.
He's like, I'm not gonna let Jill top me. Like, I'm gonna cut off the Hulk's hands. Like,
yeah, for real. So,
oh my god, I was just gonna say that he like Barrett versus Kupka, like size wise, who's bigger, and I just realized that Barrett has a missing hand and has a gun. And now Kupka could get 2.
Oh my god! Could you imagine it? 2
Barrett's Barrett's evolved form is Kupka, this double turret gun on his.
Oh my god! That would be amazing.
Who wins? Like
that would be amazing.
Because you were streaming 7 Remake, and I was thinking like Barrett and huge. Kupka. Like, who's bigger, dude? Because they are just behemoths of.
I think Kupka's
guys,
bigger,
dude. Like,
but they're.
Who?
It's funny when the moment like does Knuckles with Tifa, and Tifa's hand is like his pinky, I swear, and like, oh my god,
dude. So,
but anyhow, another great episode here, another great moment, great fight with Kupka. I can't say enough for this game. I just love it so much. Again, the more I play it, the more I find like little tiny nitpicky flaws of mostly just gameplay things that I just want more. I think is basically what it is. It's like
what it comes down to, right? Yeah, wanting more party members.
Does it need it? No.
Gav being in there, Torgal's transformation, right?
Yeah, just
again, does it ruin the whole game? No. But I've also going and playing other games, and like coming back and like the voice acting, it's just like I just appreciating it like even more. Like I did like
how to explain.
I did like a side quest. And even in the side quest, the Clive's lines were just like still 100%. Like, there was something to do with goblins, and it was like, oh, there's goblins here. It was still just like delivered, just like so good. So like you get kind of used to that like intensity of it. And you go and play like some other games, come back, and you're just like, did not miss in like any line of voice acting. It's so top tier to me, like. And I don't know,
I don't know how exactly.
So I'm really appreciating going and playing other games, coming back and playing 16 and being like, man, like.
I guess this time though there wasn't any like new over the top music. I suppose you could say in this part, but the music that plays is still fantastic.
Again, like
music.
Like I can't quite think of off the top of my head when you're running through Rosaria, but like again, it's fitting, it's good, and then you fight Kupka and you're just like. Oh yeah, like let's go. This is it. Yeah,
I think it's the main like boss theme music. I guess
I think you start to hear it a little bit more.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's when you
or it might be Hunt's. We'll find out. We'll have it.
yeah, it'll be on. So, anyways, we'll catch you next time. Thanks again for watching. Oh, again, you can catch me on streaming on Twitch, twitch.tv/SuperSanctus8. You can also catch us at SuperFrankPod on Twitter or X. Been posted a ton of stuff. That one I've been really starting to
stuff.
Just been posting.
Check us on TikTok too, even.
Yeah. I figured out how to do TikToks with my stream a lot faster, and the YouTube channel. We'll also have some shorts coming up, maybe. So yeah,
trying to cover out everywhere. So check
TikTok,
us out somewhere.
I believe is the same. It's at SuperSanctus8. It's the same as my Twitch. So keep a look on that. Might be seeing some Frankie gameplay videos.
Trying to figure out streaming YouTube, as well. Yeah,
so we're getting into it.
I might check out that Grand Blue Fantasy game. So I might try to stream that up, throw that up on our YouTube. But subscribe. One of the platforms there. Follow us and let us know again. I don't know.
I always say join the chat. Come join
join the stream
and just chat with us.
I'm in there most times.
Like to just talk any of them. I'll just ramble on like it's a podcast. So anyways, thanks again for watching. We'll catch you next time.
Yep, thanks for sticking around. Frankie out.
Listen to my story.
It all begins here.
I know. This is a one-time gig.